Here we are, we're live. So, hello and welcome, as always, to folks who can join us, to anyone coming in later. And of course, always a huge thank you to Team Rewatch, always much appreciated. And today I am being joined by the lovely Leslie from Books, Gers, and Purrs. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Elaine. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to spend time with you. I enjoy your channel and usually just being in the chat, hearing you babble away about books.
Well, thank you. And who do you have making some chatter there?
Ginger, she wants my attention. She just gets jealous when I'm interacting with anybody else except for her.
This is so cute.
Oh my God. Here we go.
And mine do the opposite. It's like, I hear a voice. I don't know that human. They're gone.
Mm-hmm. The other way. No.
Oh, that's so cute. How old is Ginger?
Ginger, oh my gosh. They just turned 6.
Oh yeah, two from the same family.
Yeah, from the same litter. My friend's I think boyfriend at the time cat had a litter, and it was like the only cat that hadn't been fixed yet. And they had quite a few, but these two, Ginger and Tariel, they didn't want to separate them because they were like thick as thieves. The thing is, my friend is like a really deep sleeper, so her boyfriend kept telling her that these two are rascals at night and he can't sleep, but she didn't believe him. Then I inherited them thinking, they're two sweets. Nope. In the middle of the night, they're like running around. It's like National Geographic's furs flying. The Matrix, they kind of go in the air and go backwards. It's like a whole thing. So when they were little, I would have to put them in the kitchen just to kind of like train them to behave.
Yeah.
I would put them in the kitchen. They had the whole setup, and I would close the door just so I could get like some sleep.
Yeah.
And then over the years, it kind of like, they calmed down. But it was pretty wild at the beginning.
So funny. Yeah. Well, for a time we had 6 in our house, 3 different families. So we had Morgan, who we'd found as a kitten in our backyard. Then we had Cedric, who someone had dumped off, and she decided after following me in my yard for 3 days, she'd be moving in. And then we found out she was preggers. And my husband named her Cedric when she was outside. So we didn't know until she came in that she was female. So then he called her the Trojan cat because she snuck in the little babies. So she had the babies in her basement. We found homes for 3, and then we kept Ghost and Xena. So we had the 4 of them. And then a few years later, Panther and his brother Shadow moved in from the feral colony when they were 4 months old. Hey, Kevin, welcome. I'm not snowed in. I'm just living in a lot of snow. Now, the nice thing is I'm taller than Ven at the moment, who's 6 foot something. But if I go out and stand on the snow, I'm 6'4". Like, it is crazy, the amount of snow that we have here. But yeah, so hey, Aaron, welcome. But yeah, so we had the 6 of them, and they all got along, even though 3 different families and different ages and everything. Morgan was the oldest, so she just watched the shenanigans. Cedric, was mom, but she didn't care. She was into exercise. So it didn't matter what time of the day it was. Xena, on the other hand, also loves watching exercise, but chooses not to participate. So the other 4, because we have 2 floors, basement and an upstairs. The other 4, it was like, we called it NASCAR. And Ghost, we miss her, and Lord love her. She was such a sweetheart, but not the brightest crayon in the box. And she would go so fast around the corners, you could literally hear her little pad squeaking on the floor as she was trying to get around the corner. So Yeah, and it's funny now that we don't have it, I miss that insanity in the night. It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can sleep all through the night now. This I don't like this. It's bizarre.
It's almost too peaceful, right?
Exactly. And then we got Tiki, which she makes up for it, running off with my markers and but it's funny, unless I'm using them or trying to color or something, yeah, she's good. She has no interest, but if I'm trying to do something, it's like, I want one of those. That looks like fun. And yeah, a few weeks ago, we actually, because I've got my markers sitting in my cart here. So a few weeks ago, we heard all this rumbling stuff in where I do my reading and editing and that. And it's like, okay, I don't see Tiki and I don't see Panther. Panther had gotten up and he was trying to get a marker to pass off to Tiki. My husband caught him because he came and peeked in the door and he's like, she has reinforcements. I'm like, no, no. This is not good. She's like mischievous enough as it is, but she's such a blessing to have. And I mean, Panther misses his brother Shadow. Next month will be 4 years. It's crazy how time flies. But she loves playing. He loves playing. They don't bug Xena. Hey, Van, how are you? They don't bug Xena, who's now 16. So she's, yep, you guys play. Don't even try and get me involved. Ain't going to happen. Now you have, because we've heard about your cats, you also have Gers in the name of your channel.
Oh yeah, honestly, I know it's kind of like you might think it might sound like a dog, but my cat Tariel,
Yeah,
makes a growl sound like a dog, and so and even her meow sounds like someone that's been smoking for like 60 years. Just like deep bass, and it's just like for a while I thought something was wrong with her, but apparently that's just the way that she sounds.
Yeah.
And so I thought that my channel name would be a nice nod to them, but also the idea of like thumbs up and thumbs down, like book reviews. So books, Chris and Purse, it's like thumbs up and thumbs down kind of thing.
Yeah.
Literary criticism. So yeah, that's basically where it comes from.
Yeah, because I kept thinking, hey, Lily, I kept thinking that there was a dog, and I keep screwing up the name of your channel because for some reason in my head is Purrs and Gers, and I'm like, no, that's backwards because I know I had to correct it in one of my videos. So
it's fine. I've heard plenty of people get tripped up with the name. I don't know, but I'm fine with it. I know who I am. I know you're talking to me.
And I think it's awesome and a tribute to the cats. Like that's amazing. So that way, they're part of the show and the videos and channel as well.
They're wild. They're some wild bunch. Yeah, they probably appeared way more at the beginning.
Oh, when it was novel, yeah.
But sometimes I just kick them out, and then you just see me wrestling with my cats on screen because it's always a tug of war battle with them between. I mean, now the jar is a door. The door is a jar.
Yeah.
So they're good, but anytime I try to close it, Ginger has a problem with it, and she's just trying to assert her territory, which is exactly what happened. She came over here and started meowing a bunch, trying to put me in my place, basically, and then she left. Now she's good because the door's open. So.
Oh yeah, in our house, you do not close doors, and our bathroom door, there's like a little bit under between like the floor and the door when you close it. Yeah, trying to do anything private in there is a nightmare because if they're not banging against the door, as in, how dare you, what's going on in there? You get little paws coming underneath, like, I know you're in there. Can you reach me? Seriously.
The kitty shining. Just like put it
exactly. You could, and Panther, like your one little critter, does not have a normal meow. So it's like, this is nightmare fuel just going to the bathroom. Jeez.
Yes, could we talk about that? Yeah, that was definitely like, all right, I'll share this. It's TMI, but here we go. When they were really young,
Yeah.
I had them since they were like they're kittens, when they're really, really young, a couple months old. As soon as they could eat like dry food kibble, that's when I got them.
Yep.
Ginger, once again, has a problem with closed doors. So I would have to say maybe when she was like 6 months to a year old, I went,
Yep.
to have a private moment in the restroom.
Yeah.
As I'm going, she lunges, she like pounces on the door for it to open. She was just like not having it. My daughter was cracking up because her eye line, she could see me, and I'm like, just exposed. I'm just like, what is this? So, and there's not a lock on the door, so it was completely closed. And she said,
Yep.
"Hell no, not in my house."
Like the things these fur kids get up to, I tell you, right? I just want to pop this one up because so not true. Elaine has told me I need to behave today. Then when have you ever done what I've told you? Then we have hellos. Bruce apparently has the proper zoomies today. His cat, who you never see in his videos either. Then asking how everyone is. Ooh, Kevin's drinking through a fire hose most days. LOL. Oh, it's one way to get through the crazies. Even Leslie and I were saying before the show, where do you start? I always behave when she tells me to, except when I don't. Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna have to learn how naughty Ben could get because I am unaware.
Betty Lane has a side to her. Educational assistant. I didn't make the good teacher money with a big pension, but yeah, I didn't have any nicknames, which really made me sad. And I talked to a few students because I knew the nicknames of some of the other staff, and they're like, yeah, no one's giving you a name because like we wouldn't dare. I'm like, come on. And then, so yeah, I never had any of those nicknames.
But that's because they know they have to go toe to toe with your wit, and if they can't even go there,
right. Well, the one, and I did. Well, I semi felt bad for him because he just pulled something on a bad day, and he came in, and what he asked me was just moronic, to put it politely. And I just looked at him, and I'm like, you do understand that's a stupid question, right? And he goes, well, Miss So-and-so told me that there are no such things as stupid questions. And I looked at him and I'm like, sweetie, that's just what smart people tell other people to make them feel better. And the whole room, because I was in a resource room, there were about 10 other kids. And everyone's like, oh. And this kid's looking at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, but seriously, think of what you just asked me. He's like, you're harsh. And I'm like, yeah, but you knew that before you came through the door. You all do. And you still come fill up my room. So, like,
oh, that's a good one. Oh, I would have been howling.
The kids pretty much were, and this poor kid's like, I got nothing. Because it really, I can't remember what it was now, but it was just so mind-boggling dumb. The UK is, oddly warm right now. It's a good thing I can read Ven's typos. Like,
okay.
I'm getting used to him not spelling words properly. Never mind the accent. It's the reading the typing. I can understand him fine when he talks. Now, see, and here it is bitter cold. Like our snow,
Mm.
trying to do a snow angel is hopeless because the snow's frozen. Like you'd have to crack
Oh, you
through a
probably hurt
layer.
yourself. Yeah.
You'd have to crack through a layer to actually make a snow angel. And
Have you ever
it
made that
does.
mistake? Like gone back and it was too hard?
Oh yeah. Oh, not good. Well, see, it's a good thing I fell off my deck weeks ago when it was still semi-soft. And I actually ended up bumping into a branch that I have at the end of my garden, one part there. And so I just laid there and I was comfy. I knew I hadn't broken anything. And so that worked out. Now I could not, there is like a foot and a half of snow where I landed. I can barely see the branch that stopped my fall. I'm like, this is insane. I mean, at least now I don't have to worry about falling off the stairs because there's like a whole lot of snow to buffer. But, last time at least I had 2 pain-free days. So that was awesome. But I can't duplicate it because I don't know exactly how I fell, which so stinks. Yeah.
So funny.
True rabble. You better not be talking about me, Van. I am not a rabble rouser. Lily, Jacqueline, Kevin. Are you from New Orleans? Not trying to take over. Hey, no worries. We enjoy interactive.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Interview of the Vampire shirt, so it says New Orleans on it.
Awesome.
But then there's their coffins.
Cool.
And then it says, I can't really forget, like angels put in hell by God. And it's their coffins.
That is awesome. See, I wore flowers because with all the snow, I needed something pink.
Yeah. Think warm, right? So funny.
Trying to. Well, and it's California, right?
Yes, I'm in Southern California, Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that's the facet. So I'm in London, Ontario. And Ven is in Manchester, England. Kevin and Lily Eve, I'm not sure where you're from. I know states, but not which ones. And Aaron, I know, is in the UK. And to me, it's always fascinating talking to people from different parts of the world. Okay, Lily Eve is in Washington State because our weather's so different. It's like doing time travel because for me right now, it's after 3:00.
Oh, there we go.
Leslie, for you, it's at 1?
It's 12:18 over here.
Just 12. So yeah, I mean, you're coming into the lunchtime. I'm in the afternoon. Ven is 5 hours ahead. So he's already into the evening. Like it's fascinating and it's wild all at the same time, right? Because we get so accustomed to, it must be bitter cold everywhere and this time of day, and yet it so isn't. Okay, so Kevin is from Illinois, Midwest. Lily Eve's in Washington.
Okay.
And then I want
Washington State. That's right, Lily.
Yeah, see, and so often, right? If you just say Washington, people automatically think DC, right? Lane, you're not allowed to snow angel. We spoke about, yes, Van, I know. I can't recreate the fall properly because I don't know exactly how I landed to be paying free for 2 days, but man, was I miserable when it came back. It's like, there has got to be a way. Events from the future.
Hook it up with the lotto numbers, please.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling my husband. Dude, I've been waiting 37 years. The clock's ticking. Yeah, and Lilie's saying that's why she always says state after Washington. Yeah. But yes, my husband and I have this because he buys Lotto Max. I can't wait that long. If I'm going to buy a lottery ticket, it's a scratcher because, like, I want to know right now if I can go buy books or shopping for something else. He, on the other hand, can wait for days. I'm like, yeah, no. So he's been buying them for years. And I'm like, dude, like, win already, especially now. Like, now
It's
would
all
be
on him.
really good. It's like, I'd share. So, let's get it going. And I'm like, the only reason I'm sticking with you is because if I leave, that is the week you bugger, you will win big.
Maybe just go on a little break to try to work the cosmic system.
Exactly. See, I should have taken him up on his offer when we were about to celebrate our 30th anniversary. And so we were chatting, what do you want to do? And, what about, do you want to renew vows? Well, no, we already did that once. Why do we have to do it again? All right, good point. What do you want to do? Why don't we get divorced? All these other people are doing all this renew vows. I'm like, honest to God, I've married the village idiot. Like, somewhere out there is a village missing the moron. So no, we didn't get divorced, but let me tell you, it was tempting just to see if he'd win the lottery.
He keeps you entertained.
Absolutely. I mean, we both have a very quirky, bizarre sense of humor, and we're both high maintenance. So it's like nobody else is going to put up with us. So, we just stay together and read our books because that's the other good thing. He's an avid reader as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we can spend entire evenings just reading our books. It's like, oh, how was your day? How you doing? Okay, shut up because I'm reading now.
That sounds like a match made in heaven. That sounds so lovely. I love being single, but that's the only, I'm like, oh, that actually, you're making something sound good that I don't want.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the other nice thing is about a 2-floor house, right? So I'm upstairs and he's got his man cave and stuff downstairs. Yeah. So if we ever had to move to an apartment, we'd probably kill each other. But, this we can visit, we eat dinner together, and he knows that the yard is my territory, so he can go out there on the deck. But if he steps off the deck, then we got issues because he is such a muggle, and he knows when he pisses me off, I'll call him a muggle. And it's like, you've stepped on a snail. What's wrong with you? Yeah. No, you can't step on that plant. He's like, I'll just stay on the deck. I'm like, that would be good. Unless I need you for a job, you just stay up there in the shade. That would be safe.
That is so funny. Is he into different literature than you are? What is he like?
The only thing that we actually read in common is Stephen King. And I haven't read any of the newer Stephen Kings other than Elevation. Mm. And I think before that it was Revival. And I mean, I started reading King from Carrie. Yeah, when it first came out, I'm that old. And read up to Dolores Claiborne. And I think the Gunslinger series was in there, but it wasn't my thing. Mm-hmm. And so he reads actually a lot of what Kevin reads. The mystery, spy, Patterson, that kind of stuff. And I tend to read, and up until, funny enough, before I started BookTube, I'd really gotten away from fiction and unhauled all of our fiction, King, Rice, the whole Jalupa. And I tend to read a lot of ancient civilizations, pagan books. I'm just looking because thankfully they're here. I've got a ton of self-help books and things you can work through to get yourself in a good place, frame of mind, different spiritual paths. And part of BookTube was like, well, I can't sit and talk to him because we've tried this. And he's like, that's not his thing. And I don't want to hear about his books. So
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Although it's funny, I watch some of the videos of books that he reads, but
You don't want to hear from him.
it's like I don't want to hear it from him. It's like, watch somebody else who reads
Yeah,
that
that's
type
my
of
favorite
thing.
pastime with my daughter is that she she loves to read, but I mean I've been reading to her since she was in the womb, right? She's 18 now. And
Wow.
one of her favorite pastimes is like um we're definitely not always majority of the time we're not reading the same books. So I'll just sit there and she'll basically just reenact a whole book for me. But I like it. I'm like,
That's
because I'm not going to read
awesome.
it. So I'm just like, tell me everything. And we kind of just do that back and forth. That's kind of like my mother-daughter love language between us. Is just doing that.
That is awesome. See, more parents need, I think, to do that and just really engage and encourage the reading. And, that's
Yeah,
totally.
I got really lucky because you never know what a kid's interest is going to be. So.
Well, or the choices and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of catching back. Oh, wait. Oh, I just realized Ben's talking about his book. You can always buy books. No, you told me the other
This
day
week.
that you bought books. Almost zero. That means you did buy books.
What is almost
Kevin,
to then?
come on,
That's what
Ben.
I want to know.
Almost everyone's no, I've behaved. I said I'm
Yeah.
staying out of the thrift store until April. That means I only have 1 month and a week and a few days to go. And if I see a 50% off sale on a Saturday when I get a ride from my husband, I'm going because you can't pass up 50% off. That's just way too good a deal. Love that. Only dated one book lover and I dumped him. Oh no.
Almost.
Keyword keyword was almost. Yep, those 99p books too tempting. Went to the library on a whim. Got
Oh, that's nice.
6 hardbacks, 25 cents each. Nice. Now see, that's the other difference between, or it could just be my area. But here, our library has a store and it's called Friends of the Library. But the prices are not like that. And they don't have regular sales. I'm always so jealous when I see the American booktubers talking about their free libraries and the library sales. I'm like, it's one thing we do need up here. Like they have one massive sale because we have, I think, 16 branches because I live in a city that make up the whole, but it's a 3-day thing. And it's smart if you wait for the last day, although everything's picked over. But the last day, you can put like tons in a bag and pay like a price for whatever you can fit in the bag. That's a year. Here we
I mean,
are.
that's about the only thing good about the
Hi.
States. So I think you still got the winning side of the bet.
Something's going on with my Wi-Fi. Can you say that again, Leslie?
Oh, I said the library discounts are about the only thing we got going good over here in the States. So I think you still have the winning part of that bet. But yeah, I think your internet might be a little bit spotty.
Tis true. And we'll find out because next week we have an election here for our premier, but our elections are very different. It's like a month, done.
Yeah.
So they called the election. You got a month to figure it out. You mark and the ballots are no bigger than my hand, actually. You have your 5 choices of the parties. You put your X in the box, not outside the circle or it doesn't count. You do your X, you fold it, and you stick it in the box. Because once they hand you your ballot, they're not allowed to touch it. You fold it up, you stuff it in the box, and then bada boom, bada bing. The next day they tell you who won.
That sounds beautiful, Elaine.
It's easy peasy. It doesn't always mean we get great people, but it's a lot less
Yeah.
stress. You only have a month to go. What are we gonna get into?
Yeah.
And Kevin, let's talk Stephen King. Yeah, I'm so itching to read The Shining. I just found it at my thrift store the last time I went, which I said I'm behaving after that. And I just got it again. And I'm like, I want to read it so bad. But I have so many other things that I need to read that he's got to wait. And I just started the Dresden Files. Have you read them, Leslie?
No. Actually, also in terms of Stephen King, the only Stephen King books I've read is Bag of Bones.
See, I haven't read
And
that one. What did you think of it?
I read it years ago. That was like the first book I ever read. So I liked it. It wasn't really scary. I just kind of liked the story overall.
Okay.
Um, I read some of Insomnia and I didn't finish it, but I did like it. And then there was like a short story I read in anthology. I think it was about someone getting an autopsy that actually wasn't dead. They were just bitten by a snake. So we're reading the story from the character's point of view of being
Oh, wow.
paralyzed and just trying to like hope that a body part can move to signal to them that they're actually alive. That was like such a great short story. It was incredible. And so, but yeah, I haven't read anything else of his since, and he has such a large catalog. It just feels a little bit daunting.
Yeah, it's huge, but I think it really depends on what type of read you enjoy. Like if you want something to really scare the hell out of you, Misery is for sure. Misery is the only Stephen King book that totally freaked me out
Mm.
because there is no paranormal in it. It's just humans. And
It
I'm
seems
like,
plausible, right? That it could happen.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's what also scares me. All the other like super doesn't scare me. It's like if I see a movie, even if it's not necessarily horror, but
yeah,
if it feels like you're saying plausible and it's just like a psychological type thing, that will give me nightmares.
yep, same. I mean, I've watched some of them, but yeah, out of all the, because I know when I was doing the banned book project last year, and one of the videos I put up was about Stephen King and, of course, Florida going hoo-ha about not having any of his books. And then the publishers, which who knows what's going to happen with that now, but then the publishers um, taking Florida to court for this. And one person had put there, and they're like, I agree with DeSantis. These shouldn't be in the library, yada, yada. Had nightmares, can't look down. Oh, she'd read it. Still couldn't look down a drain. And and this person was in her 40s. So I responded, thanks for sharing your thoughts. I've been reading Stephen King since I was a teenager. I'm 61. Nope. Thinking your parents should have, been paying attention to what you were reading. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's but yeah, there's so many, and part of the reason I want, well, because I love the story, but I mean, again, it's been decades, and I love Salem's Lot. That was my second vampire story, which will segue into Anne Rice. What was your first vampire story? And then I'll catch up on the comments. Who was your first vampire?
My first vampire was Louis when I was like maybe like 12 or 13.
Really?
Yeah, and I wish I had that. Oh my, I was so obsessed. I read through that book so quickly. And when I was, and speaking of insomnia, I used to have like really bad insomnia when I was younger. And yeah, I just was fully just so engrossed in the story. But yeah, Louis is my first vamp.
Wow. Louis was my third.
Oh, who were the other ones?
Dracula,
Okay.
Bram Stoker. So Dracula was my first. Barlow was my second, Stephen King.
Mhm.
And I forgot about the dog scene, which as I get older, I can't read books with animal stuff. I get why authors do it. It just puts me in a dither. But yeah, so Barlow was my second and Louis was my third.
Oh.
So yeah. And I've still got my original. See, that one I didn't unhaul. I still have my original Dracula that cost me under $2.
Mm.
Brand, brand spanky new, which tells
Okay.
you how old that was. Because I just got this brand spanky new, and it still pisses me off that we have to pay different prices, Canada, US. I don't get where that came from. But up here, it was $12.
Okay.
So $10 more than what I paid for my original Dracula and pretty much about the same size. I'm like, ah. But yes, I did hang on to my original Dracula. And it still irks me that it was my husband who corrected me about vampires in the daylight. Because I've read Dracula a few times, but I just reread it a few years ago and I was having a conversation with somebody and I'm like, I don't think he went out in the daylight. And my husband's like, yes, he did. He just didn't have as many powers. I'm like, how would you know that? When was the last time you read it? He's like, I don't know. Like he's a walking trivia game. It's
Yeah. He has good
if you
memory.
need if you need any little tidbit, him. And I don't know if you've ever played Trivia Pursuit,
Mhm.
but there's no point playing against him because it's just hopeless. Like he's just got all this stuff crammed in his head that just comes out like that.
Yeah, I would be terrible just because I have like the memory of a goldfish. I have such a bad memory. I can barely remember yesterday, so I would lose every time to
See,
anyone really.
I can remember fairly well, but it has to be something I'm interested in, like random political facts or certain history things or that. If I don't have notes, forget it. But if it's about some of the books that I've read in that or certain characters and things, that I can pull out. But
Yeah.
other stuff, not so much. But yeah, we'll definitely get into more vampires when we catch up behind on the newer King books. Yeah, me too. And I've been hearing a lot of different things about fairy tale, sort of like Fourth Wing. You either love it or you don't. And that's where I was going with The Shining. Is it Dr. Insomnia? Something like
Yeah.
that. That is the second book. This is the little boy later, but it sounds way more gruesome than The Shining ever was. And that's why I always wonder because I've seen a number of the King books at the thrift store, and I'm still amazed. I bought two of his collections for $1 on one of the 50% off days, and it was Night Crew no, Skeleton Crew and Night Shift. So two big honkin' short story collections, but they also have a bunch of his other doorstops.
Mhm.
But I don't know the newer books. And even though they're only like $4.50 or $5, I don't want to buy something I'm not going to enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so that's why I always ask if I know people have read some of the like Duma Key and few of these others. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Have to see. Lily also enjoys King, her
Yeah.
favorite author. It's amazing. Most libraries where I am are rubbish. Hoping Manchester does a library sale soon, so Ven's in the same. See, I have a kick-ass Goodwill thrift store,
Mhm.
and it's just the bookstore, which reminds me, I have that sitting as a PowerPoint I need to record and finish. And Kevin and some of the others are just going to be jealous. because it is wild how many of the authors they talk about. There are tons of books there for, like I say, about $3.55 a piece. And I'm like, I'll just take pictures of them because I hang out in the nerdy sci-fi section and the ghost books and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I have to start taking a book with me because I've had so many recommendations or figured out books that I want to try and find, but then I can't remember them when I'm in the store. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to bring the list with me. Oh, Lilive just finished the Dark Tower series. I think there's 5 or 6 books in that now, and I've heard that it got better as it went on, but the first one just didn't do it for me. Ooh, Red Olive King. That's over 70 books.
What do you want to know?
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much.
Yeah, Kevin, we definitely need to chat because there's a lot of the King books I don't know. And I just, like I say, I don't want to pick them up because I know Tommy Knockers I will never read again. It was just, there were just things with a dog in there that, nope, didn't work for me. Still only read one King. Short story. I'll read at least one. Oh, wow. So really liking King. Wonderful. Cry every time. That had to be about one of the books. Definitely be rereading Dark Tower. Okay, so it must be good if it's worth a reread. Cried a lot too. Eddie. Okay, so Eddie must be a character from the Dark Tower series. Little mom could watch TV, read at the same time. She was always reading. That's cool. Yeah, so about the Eddie character. Book buying ban till April. Well, let's see if we're both successful, Lily.
Good luck.
I was on it. You were never on a ban.
I think you trying to put yourself in a ban made it worse.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this band thing. And I think would you last, Ven? A week, 2 weeks, maybe? See, even the leave. Got Orlon Rofford. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
By Margaret. Now, have you read that, Leslie?
Yes, I did. I loved it. I like Margaret's work and what she's doing with it, especially the series you're just starting, right? You read The Keening?
I just finished The Keening. Yep.
Yeah, there's a book I read. It was nonfiction, and it was about maybe I should give you a little bit of a backstory. My grandparents on my dad's side used to live in an area called Cesar Chavez Ravine.
Yeah.
And all those people were like forcibly removed so that the Dodger Stadium could get built. And so I think I've always kind of wanted maybe more knowledge, or maybe I wanted a certain like emotional like feeling about reading about that time period, just because I have a lot of questions. And I read a book on the subject, and it just wasn't really hitting. There weren't enough stories that were like specific to people that were impacted. It was kind of more like the politicking and everything, which don't get me wrong, that's all important, and that's usually what I like reading. And I felt like a little bit empty, or just like I wasn't getting what I needed. And right after is when I read The Keening, and I felt like that's it. This is what I've been looking for, even though it's a completely different part of the world,
but still
regarding the same issues. And so I think that's probably why I have such an affinity for The Keening and the trilogy overall, because I think it's kind of through the family saga storytelling that really kind of gave me what I was looking for, I guess.
Well, and because Margaret, and I mean, I'm chatting with her on Thursday, this coming Thursday, about it. But yeah, I mean, she did such a great job of really giving you what it was like for that family, the feelings that being forced off your land, having to go to a city, which is an entirely different mindset and way of living. And excuse me, cough.
Let it out. It's
Yeah.
going around.
But for me, what also made a huge difference was having read the 5 before I read the Keening. And because, I mean, Margaret did an excellent job and really get you in what's going on and what the family's feeling. But the 5, Haley Rubenhold, because she spent those 13 pages talking specifically about the Victorian era, even though it was after all this move, but it really gave you a sense of what was going on for these people and what it was like for them to move into the city. So those 2 reads close together really brought that home. And like you say, for especially with having family history with it, it gives you that sense of what it was like for those people.
Yeah.
Like it just, I mean, even and looking into some of that, which I haven't too much yet, but is on my I'll get there at some point list.
Yeah.
Because of all things, having read Hunt for the Skinwalker, which has to do with UFOs and such things, I really learned that apparently Mr. Abraham Lincoln there was awfully colorblind because he did some horrific things to the people in the Utah and Colorado area. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
You know? So I get that you're a national hero to one group, but you a douche.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet, of all things, where do I learn about this? Reading about some ranch with UFOs.
Yeah, that's wild, right?
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And again, this is why reading different genres, right? Because even if, like I say, and I still think there's a whole bunch of stuff with that ranch thing, and that's a whole other bugaboo with Bigelow and all the rest of them. But I mean, again, you just never know what you're going to come across in a book, because I'd always thought Lincoln was this amazing individual, and I'm reading this stuff going, and there goes my respect for you. Like, buddy, do you even get who was here first? Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, I read a play. I can't think of it's on my shelf somewhere. But it's about his Mary Todd Lincoln. And I learned so much about what had been done to Indigenous people, because that's really at the core of the play.
Yeah.
And so, there's this little preface kind of tipping us off, the reader, for context. And I was like, these were just vicious, disgusting people that we are taught in history to revere. It's terrible. And look where we are at now.
Well, and again, this is why history matters. So trying to eliminate or erase or rewrite is not the answer. We need to learn and remember what happened. Because, I mean, even up here, and it just grates, the school board area that I'm in, and they're the largest in my province, they wanted to rename 12 schools because there were different issues. And I'm like, all right, based on what I'd heard, that's going to be $40,000 per school. So now we're well over $400,000. And did you even look into everything about these people or what else they did? And have you heard of something called a teachable moment? Like you can't just eliminate and erase and forget. That's not the answer. But we don't have to worry about them doing that now because they're under investigation, because the executive director and a few of them decided they'd go to Toronto and watch a baseball game, and they just happened to have rooms at the stadium there and called it professional development. So he's now on a paid leave with his 6-figure salary. They have another one they brought back from retirement who's now getting paid plus his pension. And they've let go of 58 teachers because there's so many millions of dollars over budget that it made sense to let go of classroom teachers. I'm like, man, am I glad I'm not in the system anymore. Because I would have a hard time.
Upsetting.
Like I say, it's just not a life without tech issues. Yeah, that's when we were. I don't know. That hasn't happened, so hopefully it doesn't again. Library now has a secondhand section. Nice. Makes my bed. Yeah, that would for sure. Oh, Lilive loves The Shining and Dr. Sleep. Okay, that's the one that's after it. Oh, Carrie, I just listened to that on audio through the library, Libby. Loved it because it was Sissy Spacek who did the narration. She was in the original movie, so that was just perfect. And the version that they had has a little bit by Stephen King. And he actually talked about how he came up with Carrie. And she is the combination of two of the girls that he knew in school that had been picked on and bullied, and both gone. So that's where a lot of that stuff came for Carrie and how she was created into that book. Whoop. Lilive likes Bag of Bones.
Autopsy Room 4. Yes, that's a short story. It's called. It's really good. It's really good.
See, Kevin wasn't kidding. Anything King, and he'll be
in his Rolodex.
I'm getting down to your comment, hon. One of his, I don't care. Lizzie's Story. Haven't heard of that one.
Oh yeah, what's that about?
Need to give it. Lizzie's Story. Sleeping Beauties are pretty bad. Oh well, there's the dude. Hey, dude. Oh, you coming to say hi? Oh, cake. Thanks, but we're not doing cake. This is Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
Nice to meet you.
This is the guy who hasn't won the lottery yet.
I can just when you figure it out, hook it up.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
He looks nice and warm.
What's that?
He looks nice and warm.
Yeah, he'd have to be. He does deliveries all day, so he's outside. So yeah, he's bundled up in our winter cold. Okay, so Kevin's saying they're both bad, so that's got to tell you something. Hey, Constance. Want to read Dresden Files? Wish me luck. Library does not have it. There's one used bookstore that may. Now, see, I looked into the first 2 books of the series at my thrift store, and I did check. My library has several of them. And shameless plug, I do have them on my Amazon wish list. Link in some of my videos. From now on, the link will be in all my videos should you want to help a girl out and contribute to her book buying issues. But yeah, I don't think my library has the whole series either. And that does irritate me with libraries. Why would you not have a whole series? Like even with the Vampire Chronicles, they're missing. Like, are you kidding me? That's not right. Go again.
Wait, which book were they missing from Chronicles?
Blood Canticle.
Okay, yeah. Well, I read the summary of it, and I'm like not that interested in reading it, but we'll see.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure, and I haven't read. I own it. Excuse me, because I did find it at the thrift store, so I have it, but I just haven't read ahead yet. And to be honest, for me, getting back into Lestat and Louis and that whole world, I had borrowed Merrick, I think, 3 years ago. And then, of course, Merrick ties in with the Mayfair Witches. And I'd read The Witching Hour years ago. Have you read any of those?
No, at some point I will, but it's so on the back burner and I really do not like the show. So at some point I want to read it, like passionately read it, because I'm so bothered by the way the show's handled. Even though I haven't read the books, I'm just like I'm not liking it.
This show can't be anywhere near what the books are, because even in this day and age, you cannot be having dudes with 13-year-old
Yeah,
relatives.
of
Like,
course. Yeah.
there's just so much with it. But I had read the Mayfair Witching Hour years ago, but I never read Lasher and Taltos.
Mhm.
And then my husband found them on Amazon for me, and I think it was a better buy as the set of 3 versus just the one. So I read The Witching Hour again, and I remembered why I hated everything about it. Not just that it's almost 1,200 pages.
Yeah.
And I crossed out over 8 to 900 ands at the beginning of sentences that shouldn't have been there. So that set me off from the get-go. And I really don't like the character of Rowan. So I won't be reading that a third time. But Lasher and Taltos weren't too bad. Taltos, out of all of them, Taltos was the best because it really gets into the creature Lasher and what they're all about. Lasher itself goes into Julian's background, and there's a lot of stuff there. But yeah, it at least Merrick got me back into reading the Chronicles. I sidelined into Witching Hour. I think I saw the first 2 episodes because it was on Prime, and I'm like, there's no way you can do on a TV series what's going on in these books. And that in itself is going to impact where everything is going, because there's a reason all that stuff played out the way it did. I do like her group, the Talamasca. I find them fascinating. And I like the character of David Talbot. But yeah, so I ended up reading all of that for pretty much nothing because it didn't really touch on anything about Merrick and that group of the Mayfair Witches. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Let me ask you, did you like the book Merrick?
Yeah, I did actually.
I thought
Did
it was,
you?
I'm trying to remember. I thought it was okay, but I think I had read it just a couple of years ago. So it had been so long since I had touched the Chronicles, and I didn't really like how they handled Louis. I don't know. There's something I wasn't, and I also didn't like. I think that Anne Rice was trying to parallel the dynamic between Claudia Louis and Lestat with Merrick, David, and the other guy from her childhood that kind of raised her. And I felt like she's recycling something that she
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I didn't really like that dynamic, and it's confused. Well, it's a problem in all the books, but I really like David, but like he's also a creeper, and I like forgot until I picked it up, and I just don't understand. I don't know why she keeps. I don't know the point of what she's trying to say with that. Because I understand the point with the first book, Entry the Vampire. To me, that makes sense because not because it's okay that Claudia exists, but because it's so not okay. That's the horror element, I think, and I feel like it only works at once. And then any other time she keeps writing that type of narrative, I'm just like, why? What are we trying to say? I don't know.
It's a good point, and it'll be interesting to see what I think about it when I read it again. Because, like I say, I've read the series out of order, kind of jumping around what I could find and pick up. So I did read Interview when it first came out, and then I read The Vampire Lestat. I think I read up to Queen of the Damned, and then I stopped reading. And I never read Ramses, which is actually a different series. It isn't even part of the Chronicles. So when I picked it up again, and when I started again a little while ago, I read Interview. I had gotten Merrick from the library. What else have I? Oh, they're right beside me. Oh, I still have to read Blood and Gold. I did read The Tale of the Body Thief, Blackwood Farm.
I like that.
Me too. And
I loved it.
But somehow she forgets him.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm so like I think I might come up with a video because I'm just like so obsessed. I want the AMC to have a separate series about Blackwood Farm, like not necessarily just that story.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like there's so much that they could do with that.
Yeah.
In an adaptation. I think that would be really cool.
I think that would be a good one. Now, have you read the whole series, Leslie?
No, there's let me see. I have these are I have to read these. I haven't read Blood Communion or the Prince Lestat or the Atlantis. I haven't read these. I have them, but I haven't read them yet.
Okay. What's the blue one? Prince
Lestat and the Realm of Atlantis.
Yeah, I just got that one from the library, but didn't get to it.
Yeah.
But Prince Lestat?
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm so excited.
Now here's the reason why.
Okay.
If you have not read any other Vampire Chronicles, you could just read Prince Lestat. Because there, except for, and I can't, is it Quinn in Blackwood Farm?
Yes.
Woohoo! I did remember. Okay.
Great memory.
Yeah. It was a lucky guess. I'm not going to lie, because I'm like, might be Quinn. But in Prince Lestat, because of course it has to, and I'm not going to give anything away, but it has to do about the voice, and that's come up in some of the other books. Actually, I noticed it was even starting in book 2. But anyhow, it has to do with that and all of the vampires, young, old, ancients, the whole community of them worldwide. But at least in that book, what she did, because again, it's Lestat sharing his viewpoints, but a few points of views change. But she gives the backstory to every vampire who comes in when they come in. So you can connect the entire Chronicles in that one book.
Okay.
But there's no Quinn.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't remember Quinn dying at the end of the Blackwood Farm. So either I forgot or somehow she forgot she had a vampire. But I didn't get to the Atlantis ones, and I am curious about those beings because I just had the very last book in the series because I could get it through the library. So I read that, and I'm like, wait a minute, who are these people? But I didn't read the Atlantis realm, which is where they come from. See, I've been bad. I've been hopping all over the series. So yeah, it'll be nice starting in March to, okay, we're going to go in order now. And because it is amazing how Lestat has changed so much. But what I found was reading the second book, I'm almost sorry she didn't publish that one first. Because now there's so much more to going back and reading Interview and seeing Louis's perspective versus Lestat's backstory that explains why he was such a jerk.
Yeah.
I was going to say douche. It's too funny. I was going to say douche. But yeah, reading book 2, it's like yeah, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
But Lestat never told Louis about that. And now I'm really wondering about Armand in the movie
Mhm.
because Antonio Banderas ain't a young dude.
Yeah, that casting made no sense, but at the time, and Banderas was so huge, and he's eye candy, so no one's gonna like.
But it had been so long since I'd read the books. I'm like, wait a minute, Armand isn't even like what, 20
Yeah,
maybe?
he's 17, I think. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very young. Yeah.
So that's why, and again, if I find the time, because I am thinking of doing like a book to movie series, so I'll do those two, and when I read Queen of the Damned, and then watch the movie, because I do think it's lovely. At least it's a tribute to Alea. I don't know her music, but I know her family wanted it released in honor of her memory. So just from that point, it's great. But yeah, the things that they messed up in it, well, same as Divergent is, I've got that series, and it's one of those, I watched the movies before I read the books because they were big, and I'm like, no. They do that right now. And if I need a guidebook to read 3 books, no.
Not happening.
It's like, I know I work in schools and stuff, but no. And I kept it, and I'll always keep it because it was a gift from one of my students. And I'm like, yeah, I can't read these right now. And then till I cracked them open and realized I can read one of these in like a day and a half because it's big print, right? They're not like these teeny tiny types of prints, but yeah. See, now Pet Cemetery I liked. Oh, now that's the scariest for cat. See, that one didn't scare me. I mean, it bothered me about the cat and all of that, but that one didn't scare me because I think I was looking at it from a sacred ground perspective, not a horror, ooh, something came back. I think, isn't the line with that movie, some things that are dead should stay dead? It's either that or some of the another book, but yeah, that one I enjoyed. I don't know if I'd read it again because it doesn't have the same memories as like Carrie and Salem's Lot. It was a good read, but I got way too many others on the list. Woo, read them twice. Recommend. Oh, listening to them on Audible. Now James Marsters. Is he Spike? The American who played the British vampire in Buffy? I'm wondering. Could be. I'll have to check that out.
You're right.
Was I right? Yoo-hoo! Yeah, give me Mason's names or books.
Yeah.
Unless they're politicians, I'm good. It's probably the one going to be reading. Okay. So Pet Cemetery. Yeah, I think you'd like it, Ven. You enjoy those creepy reads. Constance. Oh, gotta run. Take care, Kevin. Hope.
Thank you.
I think I'm a bit behind. Oh, Nicole's here too. We're definitely behind. Oh, nice to meet you, Leslie. Yay, you got a new follower. Read a book, 8th grade, Silver Kiss. Have not heard that one. Oh, she likes that one. People saying bye to Kevin. Horrible at that game. Oh, Trivial Pursuit. Dr. Sleep is really good. Okay, have to keep that in mind. 7 books. Lies and Slander. I actually managed 8 weeks. Oh, that is impressive. Hey, Nicole. Drop by, boop the like button. Yay. Appreciate you popping in. Have a good day at work. Oh, something's got her brokenhearted. Still here, currently properly putting shelves in order. Oh, now here's a question. Now my books are by subject because I have so many different things. Then cats are alphabetical.
Mhm.
And I think, and Ven, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Ven's are alphabetical. How do you organize your books?
All right, I'm an agent of chaos. I have 2 shelves. One is books I've read. No particular order. It's just they're just there to look pretty. I have an entire shelf that are all the books I haven't read, mostly. Also, Agent of Chaos. I think one of the shelves is actually just for the next 2 years, specific to my Interview with Vampire readathon. But then I have some floating shelves around here that are just like random. So there's like no system. I know where the book is if anyone needs it. Not even alphabetical. Nothing. Just pure chaos.
See, and mine, they're by subject, but that's as close as it gets.
Yeah.
And what I'm finding, well, first, hey, Janie. They're by subject, but then I run into this problem because the subjects connect. So I also, because I have Reiki and reflexology and I'm into energy healing, all kinds of things, right? Crystals, chakras, the whole bit. So then I get into, okay, pagan studies have to do with the natural world and energy healing and crystals and chakras. So I can't put them all in one shelf because they won't fit. So do I keep my crystal books separate and then my energy healing modalities somewhere else? And do my pagan books go in with all my other spiritual books from, like now I have the Bible and other forms of spiritual belief systems. So do I put those together? But then I have ancient Egypt, which all ties in with the Bible. And it's like,
Yeah.
so I just, I guess, and then I'm constantly rearranging them. And
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself. I had my video recently of my bookcases. Then I bought those other 25, and about 20 of the books I'll tie in with the pagan studies. So now I don't have room on the shelf that I had for pagan studies. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta move something again. It's like, wow. This is the other reason I need to stop buying books.
Yeah, rearranging. Ven, what a venture, because the times that I have just to clean my shelves, it's like a thorough cleaning.
Yeah.
It's just a chaos in my mind because then I'll do this, I'll reassess how I have it. And I just end up landing on Agent of Chaos and putting it back in any old way. Just like aesthetic only, because I'll just keep going in circles.
And I do the same. And it's funny because I'll start, and I'll it's like, yep, this will work. And about 2 weeks later, I'll be like, no, those don't go with them. And I want this here because, no, my astronomy book should be at the top, close to the sky. Oh, but where do my mythology books go? And do I want them in this room or that room? And so I'll have just released a video of my lovely organized bookcases. And that'll last for a week, maybe 2 at the most. And then it's all over the place again. And I come. It's just.
Same.
But you know what? It works for us because I can find my books. And I've tried, because I know Kat has shelves of the books she needs to read. And I could try that, but then it would be a mishmash of, well, what if I want to do something with my astronomy books? And then I got to go look here, and then I got to go look there. And well, what if I want to read this today? And well, what if I want to reread that? And that's not, and it's like, nah, we all got to find what works for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Janie's joint, she watches her grandson, so her little grandson's napping,
Sweet.
getting ready, kids to go to bed. Yeah, see, in the future, bribe them with hot chocolate.
Okay, then. I think that might make it worse.
Whatever works. Swear I set fire to the chat. Trying. Oh, that was when we were spiraling again, I'm betting. Not read any Anne Rice. Or watched any of the. Man, you have so many things to watch. Lion King for one. I'm gonna stick up for Kat because she's stuck at work today, or she'd be in here kicking your butt. Did you have a suggestion, Leslie?
No, I was just like, oh my, sorry, I was about to jump out of my seat. Then please, if you get a chance, actually, I don't know what's available. I just realized over there, but if Interview with the Vampire becomes available to watch, the show is incredible.
Oh, is it?
I love, that's like, I am so obsessed with the adaptation.
Now, which one is that? See, I only have Prime because I refuse to be nickeled and dimed with streaming things. Is it on Prime?
No, I have like a subscription to AMC Plus.
Oh, okay.
Because I could not watch it. I'm just like, I love the books too much. I was just like, I broke. That's the only like other thing that I have as far as streaming. Anything else I watch on streaming is because a relative or a friend has an account. So I'm watching through their account. I'm like, I'm not paying anymore. But it's so good. I love it. And there's so many different generations of people that have read this book. So they all have like different takes.
Yeah.
And even though yes, I like the books, but I have thoroughly loved the adaptation and what they've done with it.
Oh, good.
And so, yeah, I'll keep talking. You have to stop me because I'll keep going. But it's really good, very riveting, and all the changes make sense. It's all in service of Anne Rice's work overall, and so that's why it's such a bummer that I wasn't into the Mayfair Witches, because the writing is just so stellar. The storytelling on Interview with the Vampire is so good that I think I was just expecting, even though I haven't read the books, I just wanted the storytelling to be like as elevated, and it just wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and I mean the cast of characters in terms of the story, not actors, are so different, and their motivations are so different. That it would be hard, even though everything pretty much goes on TV now. And I mean, it's funny. I remember growing up as a kid, there was a time the TV went off, as in not you turned it off, as in broadcasting was done for the day. Go get some sleep or something, right? Wasn't 24/7 like now. And yeah, I just can't imagine how they would adapt that to TV and still be able to stay true to what the whole point of that series was, because there is a point. And I think the best way I can think of describing it is it's a very twisted Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. When is too far with science? Is what my takeaway is from it. The family inbreeding was just the factor for me, but there's that bigger thing of there was a scientific or a science purpose for all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, how you could do that on TV and stay true to how those things happened with this family. What really irked me, because of the pagan studies and other things, is why'd you put the word witches in it? They're not witches.
Yeah, I could go on and on. There's so many things that all right, so here goes. Even though I have not read the books, just based on the show, the magic is not defined. I don't care about any of the characters. We don't care about the family. There's no, if it's going to be essentially about a family, then why don't I care about the family dynamics? At the baseline, we should care about that.
Yeah.
I don't. And so the main character was raised by basically a relative.
Rowan, yeah.
It seems like when people die, it's just like none of the characters really care about them anymore. So I'm like, your mom died. Why aren't we seeing like some of the dynamics play out of that? Like, there's just no like family tension. It just like things just happen. It feels like I'm seeing a summary of a story rather than an actual story.
Well, and see, that was what turned me off in episode 1. Because, and I love the actress who played Deidre. She was in X-Files as one of the agents. So it was nothing to do with the character. But in the book, Deidre never meets Rowan. Rowan doesn't come to New Orleans until after Deidre dies. And her own, I think her mother passes, like the woman that raised Rowan, I think she passes. And Rowan actually meets a man named Michael Curry in wherever she's this neurosurgeon. And she's already met him. And someone in New Orleans contacts Rowan to tell her about her mother because she's inherited everything and that necklace that gets passed around. And so in episode 1, when you've got Rowan meeting Deidre, I'm like, no. And where's Michael? Because he's huge, significant down the road for a lot of reasons. So there's a major boondoggle right there because Deidre and her daughter never met.
Yeah.
So, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, Janie hasn't either.
Her beauty. Yeah, I haven't read the beauty series. I do want to.
Yeah, I haven't. That was enough.
Yeah. But I understand that her books are like sick and twisted, but I think that's kind of like what yeah. Because it's under her other name, right? Rambling.
Oh, is it?
To write Schmorn, basically. Yeah.
See, yeah, and see, I did, and see, to me, that was my bugaboo with the first. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't know if you've read it yet or not, Janie. That was my big bugaboo with Fourth Wing, which I didn't read the other 2 because the main character is just obsessed, and that's all she seems to think about. And that was my issue with book 2, 3, and 3.5 of the ACOTAR. I don't want to keep reading about people cleaning their pipes. And there's only one couple who are always getting jiggy with it. What about everybody else? Like, so there were a lot of things that came up in ACOTAR, but to me that, and I'll still read the last book because I am going to finish that series. But thankfully, even though it's an older series, I have to wait like another 14 or 15 weeks for the book to become available, which is good because I'll just be, it's a series I'll be glad to be done with. But, and again, isn't it amazing how different people's responses and reactions are to the exact same book?
Yeah.
And I've really been aware of that lately, of how much we bring of ourselves to a book, whether it's expectations, life experience, work experience, all of that. Because, I mean, I've seen people who just rave about Fourth Wing, love it, which is great. Me, I love the last 130 pages of it, but I had to read 300 pages of book to get there. And there wasn't enough about the dragons, which is the part that interested me. There's other people rant and rave about ACOTAR. Love it. Me, it's like you need a shower after you read a few pages. Now, The one good thing is it saved me reading time because no, I didn't care what Farah was doing with certain things or what Reese was doing either. It's like, nope, don't care, don't care, don't care. Okay, back to the story now. Because there's one character, it's in book 3. And she's making eyes at somebody, and they get up and they go into a room and the door closes. And the next day she comes out and she's having coffee talking with the other person in the house. I could have handled that with Feyre and Reese. Yep, they went in their room and that's it. I don't need to have the 5-page anatomy.
All the details.
It's like, no, thank you. Keep saying going to find other things and I forget. Yeah, well, you need to read book 2 of this because this whole Akatar thing started as a joke to bug you, and I had to know about Feyre, and now I know way more about her than I ever needed to. Had enough spice for a while. Pretty descriptive with her books. Now, I think that may be Anne Wright. Now, I didn't find the Vampire Chronicles all that racy, but Witching Hour, yeah, she doesn't leave much to the imagination in that one, or Lasher either. I will say that. Get to one later in the year once I stop overcommitting. Yeah, I'm kind of starting to feel that a little bit as well. Tried one of her others, just so much. Don't have time. How many colors? Yeah. Feel like King's more disturbing than scary. And see again, right? Some of us love some of the Kings, and some it is disturbing. And I get to know. Hey, William, how are you? Line and pet sometimes dead is better. Okay, thank you. See, got trivia, people. How you doing? William's all right. Janie's saying hi. Have to have alphabetical shelves, otherwise I'd never even find the books. Okay, so alphabetical works for Janie as well. Alphabetical by author, unless it's a series. Yeah, see, now that would be difficult too, right? Nonfiction, not currently in order, but will be by subject. Is that the one on Netflix?
Oh, I'll say I'm thinking Interview is the first season is on Netflix, even though it's AMC. But if you want to see the second season, it's on, at least over here. I don't know if it's
same in Britain, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Prime did that with some.
Please, I'll start begging you, Ben. What do I need to do?
Because, yeah, here too, Prime will have like a season or 2 of a show, but then the others are on another. I'm like, come on. But the one that really gets me is when they have something and they want you to pay for it. It's like, dude, we're already paying in the first place. Like, seriously.
How many do we got to do over here?
Be something, prefer to watch than read.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, well, seeing from the Vampire Chronicles, it sounds like it would be good. Books, okay, so Williams ordered based on series, authors, and subjects. When I first placed them on the shelf, as I pick up more books, becomes random.
Yeah.
Yep, same. And then I reorganize and we start all over again. Yeah. That's how I did mine, William, till I got my new shelves, decided to try organizing them. I regret my choices. Was doing that too when I had new books, no room, just shove them wherever.
Yeah.
Since fixed the issue, nice. There we go. Think it's on BBC, which is actually useful. Woohoo. Not read Fourth Wing yet. See, I didn't give any spoilers. I'm always trying to be really good. Oh, there we go.
There you go. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Better like Fourth Wing since I bought the books. I hope so. Now, see, yes, Ven. Oh, hey, and we're almost caught up. Ven, bless him, did give me the updates on Onyx Storm, and I know he's read book 1, 2, and 3. so I don't need to read them now. He saved me time. And see, like he said, he enjoyed it well enough. Better for people who are relatively new to fantasy. Yeah. And when Noah and Kat and Ven and I were doing our stream and we were chatting about ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, and I know Noah just loves it, but he's also new to fantasy series. And I'm not necessarily a big fantasy reader. It just wasn't what I was expecting in terms of the dragons, and I wanted more dragon information and less Violet wanting to climb Xaden.
Climb a dragon. Not
yeah, that's right. Hop on that dragon and let him tie you in, and forget the dude on the ground. Like, that's just boring. You read about that stuff anywhere.
yeah.
Tell me about the scenery as you're flying on a dragon. Now there's a story. Daughter's pushing me to read it. And yeah, I mean, some people, like I say, they love it. I know Dee Dee also loves it. She's reading it with, I think, her nephew. So much hype. Now avoiding it. See, I only read it because I heard so many people talking about it. And then I read it and went, then no, thank goodness in my case, I got it from the library. I'm like, might be what I'm doing as well. Yeah, because there's just so much talk about, and that can happen too. Is sometimes, oh, look at this English, dude. Seriously,
My God, you're so mean, Elin.
Trust me, he'll get. You should hear what he does to me in his lives. At least I don't shush him.
There's already a current rivalry at play, so.
Noah's finished on. Oh, he finished it last night. Wants to talk to me about it. Different thoughts on the. Yeah. Now I was in Dave and Gareth's live stream last night. Is this mic on? And they were talking about it, and their guest had read Onyx Storm, and I guess no, it was Dave's daughter had just finished reading it, and I guess hated the ending. Yeah. So yeah, it's and again, right? It's about expectations, where you feel or sense the story's going, what you want to happen in the story. But the series, I mean, again, it's like Harry Potter. At least it's getting people reading.
Yeah.
You know, even Potter, I laugh. I mean, here's a school supposedly about witches and wizards. I'm like, really? Hey, Laura, how are you? Welcome. Hey, see, good thing I just got up on the comments. But yeah, so with Harry Potter, it's hilarious. You're supposed to have this school for wizards and witches, and yeah, they talk about potions and this and that, and that's about it. It's that Hollywood witch magic crap. I read Marked by PC and Kristen Cast. It's a 12-volume series. It's about a vampire, which is like the House of Night. It's called the House of Night series.
Okay.
And it's basically school for vampires, because in this world at 16, something triggers and they begin changing. And so they go to this school because when they're is it called changelings? It's been a while. But anyway, as they start and so the vampires go to, because they can sense when the change is about to happen, so they go and you get a crescent moon on your forehead, so it's not like you can just go home and pretend you're not changing. Then they get taken to the school where they have classes and adult vampires that they have to be near, and the change takes approximately 4 years. Now, what makes me laugh my butt off is you will learn more about pagan practices reading Marked about vampires than you will reading anything by J.K. Rowling. Because because they use the four directions, they use the colors of the four elements, they work with the elements. And it's also, but I don't know anything about it to know if it's correct or not, the main character, Zoe, is part Cherokee. So throughout the book, and her grandmother is amazing. Her mom's a douche, but the grandmother's awesome, has a lavender farm, and she calls her a special name in the Cherokee language, which I think is beautiful. But as someone who doesn't know how to speak Cherokee, I have no idea how to pronounce that in the book. Do you know what I mean? So she gives a little bit, but not really much history about some of the beliefs of the Cherokee people. But again, I don't know how accurate or true to that PC and Kristen Cast were. Someone who knows more about that background could, but I thought it was funny. I'm reading a book about vampires, learning about pagans. And then we got Harry Potter, which is just, don't know. Ending seems to have confused. Oh, okay. Onyx Storm confused a few people. Think it could be a real smart choice, depending what happens next. And so I guess that depends too. Will there be another book with Violet? You know, if it's popular, and that does motivate, I think, a lot of writers. Thirst. Haven't read that one.
Me either. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Think there'll be more books to it. Ven. I know they're interchangeable, other than one's like uber tall and the other one's teeny. Listening to book 2, Vampire Romantasy, Ashes of the Star-Cursed King. Rather listen than read any more mass. Yeah, but you know what? The nice thing about reading mass is you can skip the pages. When you're doing audio, you're committed. Like you don't know how far to jump ahead. Youngest daughter read them, enjoyed them. Believe there are 5 books planned. So there we go. And I mean, they're trying to ride the wave, right? And keep the momentum going. Same as Harry Potter. Maybe I'll wait to read it. Yeah, see, and that's what I find. And Leslie, I don't know if you can let me know with yourself. When I find a series, I don't like waiting.
That's funny.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't mind the wait. I like the yearning.
See, and I need to. So here's how not patient I am. I found out about me either.
So
because if it's a series, then, and especially if I'm enjoying the read, I want to keep going to know what happens.
Yeah.
And so Wheel of Time, I found out about because of Prime, and they had season 1, which to me, no, 8 episodes isn't a season. That's just a joke. Yeah. 20 episodes was a season. But I was interested because I loved Lord of the Rings. I read it when I was a teen. I need to reread it. But it looked like a really interesting world with Wheel of Time. And I thought, I bet this is based on books. So sure enough, looked it up, found out, yes, it was, and not even a new series. But I think by the time this came out, I had kind of walked away from fiction and was just immersed into a lot of nonfiction books. So it just didn't hit my radar or interest. And then I bought the first box set because you could get 3 of them, and they're like chunkers, 800 to 900 pages with a glossary at the back. So if you can't remember who everybody is.
Yeah.
But so I just blazed through those 3, and I'm like, I gotta know. So I ended up buying all 15 books before the year was done, all in box sets. Silly me, I wasn't going to the thrift store yet.
Yeah.
Says, well, the husband's got to win that damn lottery, I tell you.
Yeah.
But I ended up buying all 15 books, and I've read all of them except for the prequel because I had to know.
Well, that's like, okay, well then don't read Game of Thrones series.
Oh, nah,
'Cause-
I watched a couple episodes. Too much boom chicka wah wah for me.
But that's because it's adapted by HBO. The books aren't. Well, actually, the books aren't like that, but they are.
I just know it doesn't
Violent.
go well for the dire wolves. It
Yeah,
didn't in the show anyway.
both. But the author takes such a long time to write it, and he still hasn't finished it. But
And
I
he
feel like
said
that.
he isn't going to, the stinker.
I mean, if he's not like the. I don't know. I just don't mind waiting. Like the fans are like get so upset, but I started writing. I started reading them when my daughter was born back in 2007 because I was at home and I had the time.
Yeah.
Love them, but his writing is so incredible that I just
Uh,
don't. It doesn't bother me. I'm just because there's even one character in particular. I would liken them almost like a Sherlock type character where they're just always ahead of the game.
uh,
And so much of the book is a big massive like chess political game amongst like the fantasy,
yeah.
so I just don't mind it. Like it's the kind of series where I could go back and read a book and realize that he's a type of writer that he rewards a reread.
Mm.
So you could go back and you read something and you realize, oh, whatever reveal he tells you like 3 books later, he's already telling you. You just didn't know what the thing was yet until you reread it. And then it's kind of like, it's so like amazing and frustrating. So yeah, I'm definitely not someone, I'm not the kind of person that would like, has a problem waiting. I really don't mind. Because every time he puts out a book, it's like a gem. So how could I complain?
And yeah, see, for me, especially if it's a series, and I was actually laughing with I think it was Kat, because we were talking something about series, might have been in her comment section under one of her videos. And yeah, because it was something about a series, and she was waiting to get, and I'm like, nope. Years ago, because I just finished Blackwater by Michael McDowell, and that was originally it was released as 6 individual little stories. And I grew up in a small town, and my library had 4 of the 6. I waited 40 plus years to finish that series because I'd forgotten about it. I'd gone on to reading other things. I was reading King and Alfred Hitchcock and Isaac Asimov and all kinds of other stuff by then. So I forgot all about Michael McDowell and Blackwater. And I'd already read Amulet and Cold Moon Over Babylon by him, which are thankfully standalones. And yeah, then I'd forgotten about Blackwater. And then I can't even remember how I started. Oh, I wanted to reread The Amulet and that. And it was hard to find him. And they'd stopped publishing his books. He passed away a few years ago. But thankfully, Valancourt has now brought them out again. And my husband, bless his heart, bought me the 1-book series versus the pretty shiny 6 that Ven has. I am kind of jealous, though, because they are pretty covers. But I have my 1 big copy. I read that in a week. And it's a chunker. But I've been waiting 40 some years. Yeah. It's like, I gotta know. But like I was saying to Kat, I think that event through my library turned me off series. It's like, oh, no, we're not doing this again. And I don't know how it ends. I don't like mysteries. I don't read mysteries. If I'm reading a book, I want to know.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny.
It's like those, give me an ending. Oh, yeah. Sarah, Janie was saying on hers, book it coming in September. I can't remember the series, Janie, but I do remember seeing in your video on a book review that, yeah, the next book wasn't going to be out for a long time. I couldn't handle that. I believe it's likely to be 2 years until book 4. I've seen a few things saying it was originally planned to be a trilogy. Oh, okay, this is Fourth Wing, which makes sense with the ending. Yeah, so I'm wondering, maybe was she leaving it open to my reminder, start book 2? Yeah, me too, Ven. It's sitting on my table in the living room. I need to get started on The Great Hunt because a group of us are doing a reread of the entire, well, Ven and I are rereading the entire series, and a number of people are reading it for the first time. And yeah, I have to say, I finished book 1 and it was as much fun the second time as it was the first time. But now I need to go through and make my notes because I was planning to journal about it. And then I got so caught up in, I need to finish reading, that I stopped doing my notes as I was going. Read a series, finish it. 10 years later, another book comes out for that series. Wow.
That is so funny. That's basically what's going to happen with, I mean, from what you're saying about A Song of Ice and Fire, that he's just, what can we do?
Yeah. Okay, Crowns of, is that Naxia? It's one of my favorite series last year. If you're vibing with fantasy romance, highly recommend Feybound series. Series has my whole heart. Now, I don't mind fantasy romance as long as there's something else to it. Do you know what I mean? Like I want a story with it, I'm not a spicy book reader. I read Harlequin romance when I was younger, and that's good. I don't read those anymore. Book series you read, but then the author decides to rewrite the entire series. I have never heard of that. Yep, Janie hasn't heard of it either. Recasting the series. Now see, oh, Janie's have to scoot. Take care, Janie. Thanks for popping in. I know with TV shows they've done it, like Battlestar Galactica. There was the original and the remake was entirely different. Even the roles of characters that had changed, that some in the original were males, but they're females in the new one. And it was an entirely different show, but I've never heard of that with books.
Yeah, the only thing that I could think like in that too, which I know it's not the same thing, is that is something that I feel like Anne Rice has dabbled in, is she wrote the Chronicles, the first book, and then decided she didn't want to read from Louis's point of view anymore, right? She had to leave that aside. And that's why we have the vampire Lestat. She just needed to leave that character, and that really held on her mourning. And then later on, I still think she's just constantly reinventing whatever she thought she was trying to do in the first place. So the tone is all over the place.
Well, and that's quite possible. And because you're right, other than Interview, the rest are all Lestat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, except for Blackwood Farms. And there's a couple others I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lestat's in there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But not Louis. Yep.
Yeah, Louise and Merrick a little bit. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so you're right, and then it suddenly becomes all Lestat, his ego, and look at me and his role. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting go through again. And I do want to talk about your library and what you're doing on your channel with that series, because I think it's great. So just, wait, Margaret's here too. So we'll catch up. Love series you reread, pick up the clues you missed. And I absolutely agree. And I'm finding that with Wheel of Time. And even Ven has noticed as we're reading it this time, there's some overlaps with Lord of the Rings that didn't catch, because I mean, we do Lord of the Rings Day here. We've got Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So we'll get up, have breakfast, movie 1, lunch, movie 2, dinner, movie 3. It's like a whole day marathon with no commercials. But yeah, having just watched it and now going through Wheel of Time, it's like, hey, didn't I see this in which is funny, but yeah, and I think sometimes it's like movies. When you're reading the first time, you're kind of in a mindset. But then when you go back, especially those chunker books, when you go back, it's like, hey, this is foreshadowing, because now you know what's coming ahead, right? But you kind of missed it the first go through because you weren't sure. Yeah, that's what I found with Wheel of Time. Hey, Margaret, thanks for joining.
Oh, Margaret. We were talking about you earlier.
We were, but we didn't give any spoilers on the keening. But hey, I do want to know if the ocean factoid has to do with red icebergs. That's all I'm asking. Series started 8 large books, but then was recast into 18 or more shorter with new material. Wow.
Which series is this?
Yeah, William, you're going to have to tell us. That's interesting. Interesting choice to make. Not sure what I think about it. Can't wait to see. So we all still have to start book 2. It's so good because we were going to do month by month. And then because Ven and I are co-hosting, and when we were chatting, we're like, Ven actually had the brilliant idea of February and March be one book because February is shorter. I mean, we didn't know how crazy the world was going to be at that point either. But thank goodness, because here we are almost to the end of February and we're all like, oh yeah, I got to pick up book 2. Read the original 8. Okay, so William knows who this is. Waiting for the new series to be finished being written. Don't want the author to pull a grant.
Yeah.
So that would be infuriating. Hoping to have started it by now. Been an odd month for reading. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Sounds like a money grab. Suppose it depends how big the changes are from 8 to 18. Yeah, that's...
Don't you think, how much the author feel? I wonder if it's like that seems like a huge undertaking to kind of revamp a world instead of like from scratch. That sounds wild. I don't know. We'll Margaret, you're the author. Tell me, how would that make you feel?
And I'm looking at some of these Stephen King ones, and I'm thinking, I don't remember them being that big. And then there are some of them that people are saying he's actually added to them. And I'm like, because I know I read The Stand and I don't remember it being as big as it currently is, but it's possible, I guess.
It's very interesting.
You know, it's like, wow. Feybound has everything. Mystery, intrigue, politics. Ooh, curses, animalish sidekicks, social change. Wow. Oh, you don't have to shut up. That's great. I enjoy hearing about. I'm gonna have to write that down. And actually, I'm trying to remember now because I know Janie mentioned that. I have to go back through that vampire series. Starts with a T. I have to check in.
Where's Thirst?
There we go. Thirst. Thank you. See, I don't remember everything.
By Marina, and last name I could spell it for you. It looks like it's Yuszczuk.
We'll have to check those out for sure.
It's translated literature. So
awesome. Okay. So yeah, Feybound sounds interesting too. This club has everything. Woohoo! Woohoo! Now, not good Canadian. I had no idea about it. So you're a good American doing your research. I had never heard of them before. So that was an amazing part of the story because I got there and I'm like, what is this about now? So, woohoo! I learned something new about my own country. Couldn't hack it. Got a dream, new dreams. Yeah, I mean that would be because you'd have to revisit everything
Yeah.
and get the flow and all kinds of stuff. Hence the lack of coherence in my back catalog and availability on different platforms. Oh, here we go. Series is Chung Kuo, Middle Kingdom. Never heard of it. Nice. Oh, there we go. So Laura's Red Thirst gave it 4.5 stars. Always good to know when someone has read something. Made a video review of the whole series, read out all the titles and planned new ones. Yeah, I need to start getting caught up on a lot of BookTube. Same feel as going through a divorce, rewriting an old series. Just let go. Yeah, and I mean, that would be so hard. And the other is why? Like, do you not have other creative characters, or did you feel bad about the way you handled the characters and you're recreating the wheel, basically?
No, that sounds like that's a whole other version of chaos I didn't want to dip into. No, no. That also seems like, because to me, it's like so much editing of creativity. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, I would think so. Okay, well, we have caught up with the comments. Yes. Now, your channel. So tell us about your channel and definitely want to know, where do you come up with these books for Louise Library? I love that series and I'm always fascinated with where did that all come from?
Well, I'm pretty sure you and everyone in the chat can relate. I have such a book hoarding problem.
No, I don't.
And so I just wanted a creative way to keep pushing myself forward in reading books that I already have on my shelf, basically.
Oh, cool.
And I thought maybe a creative readathon would be like a motivator. And so the readathon is really, it's more based on the television show adaptation, because I just really love the choices that they've made in Book of Dragons Unite. I have a dragon right here, by the way.
Oh, that's cool. My dragons are way in the back corner and only has 7 books in his hand, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so yes, I've started rereading the books, and throughout my life I've had, it's so odd, like different experiences in terms of enjoyment and not enjoying reading the chronicles. Just I kind of notice something new every time I read it. And so what I like about rereading the books is I could actually see what the adaptation is really teasing out, because the first 2 seasons are covering basically the first book, but not really. It's also all encompassing, because they're looking at the chronicles as a whole. And so I think some of the issues that some people have in watching the series is if they've only read the one book, they're not really understanding the changes, or feel like it's not true to the adaptation. But because I've read not all of them, but most, I'm totally picking up on what they're doing as far as like a long-term story arc. And I could tell that they The writers really care about where the story is going, and they really have the stylistic language of Anne Rice really just baked into the show really well.
Nice.
But because it's such a small show in a way, kind of like a cultish type show, and there's such a large hiatus between a new season happening, I just thought it would also be a great way to just like, promote and just whore myself out to the show. So anyways, getting to it, so I had this idea and I thought I was only going to do it for a year. I would tackle maybe like let me see, like 8 characters, and I tackle like so many books a month. But the more I thought about it, the more book ideas or prompts I had. And
Nice.
so it's an Interview the Vampire inspired readathon. I'm trying to like tailor it mostly to the show version of the characters, and just kind of assess who the characters are, and then create prompts around that. And I am also kind of working backwards. I'm also really looking at my shelves and seeing what books I have that kind of like fit in. So it's very self-serving.
But that's perfect. I mean, that's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah. So like the first 4 characters is it's Louis de Pointe-du-Lac, and then it's going to be Madeline, who's I think it's different in the show, but in the book it's basically who gets turned for Claudia, right? And then I'm going to be reading from Claudia, and then I'm going to be reading from Daniel, who's the boy interviewer in the first book, and his character has changed on the show for the better. I think they did a really great job and a reason for it. So those are like the 4 characters I'm tackling this year.
Nice.
And so each of the prompts are kind of like tied into the characters. So since we're reading from point of view, for instance, the first prompt for Louis is just that Louis is a storyteller, but it's very much like almost like unreliable narrator in a way, right? So I just wanted someone to pick up a book that has that in mind. So since this story in the book and in the show is really telling Louis' story, but to understand him, you have to understand like the context of history,
yes,
and how he grew up. So I picked Between the World I Meet by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And so, or for instance, I kind of more in the show, Louis is treated like an outsider. So then I read Notes of a Native Son. So this is something that has prompts so that people could pick from their own shelf, something that fits it, if they don't want to read along the exact same thing that I'm reading, and then I'm hoping that basically I'll have 1 live a month at the end of the month for each character discussing one of the books. But and I try to knock out a book review once, like every Wednesday if possible. But so yeah, it's all based on character type prompts. And so like you know what they did really well, because I keep talking about it, is that in Interview the Vampire, when you're reading it, we kind of get these glimpses of Louis saying, like in the second part where they're in Paris, there's this like yearning for Lestat, and he's always kind of like looming, and he even thinks at some point that he sees him. So in the second season of the show, they really expanded on that, of this presence of this person always being around. So one of the prompts is heartache conjured as waking dream. So then I read a book that's called Dreaming of You. So it's just a way to like really just find a way to talk about books, but then at the end of each segment of whether it's a review or a live, I'll discuss like, why does this character have this book on their shelf? And kind of, I just felt like it's a way to also maybe have like slightly, not too long, but like an in-depth recontextualizing a character. And it's also a way for me to say, this is why the adaptation was done so well.
Nice.
That kind of thing.
That's a great connection and a very creative way of doing it. Plus, like you said, tying it in with doing your own reading to read what you own. So, yeah, that's awesome.
I'm so glad you like it. I just feel like I'm over here fangirling in my own little world, and I never know if it's gonna hit in any way, you know?
Well, and I mean, that's the thing, and especially with YouTube, right? Is you don't know, even though it says there's views, you don't know really who's watching
Yeah.
front to end. Not everybody always comments. I mean, I've had someone recently who commented they'd been watching for months. I had no idea. It's like,
Yes.
oh, cool. Thank you.
You know what? It's so
But
rewarding to hear that, but sometimes I'm like, let me know you're there. I'm in a cave and I don't know.
and that's it. And that's why I've kind of started, because I stopped saying that S word that some people are like, oh no, YouTube doesn't like that. And if you say it, then, if you sub to them and they sub to you within this time period, you'll lose subs. And I'm like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know if it's just a fluke that it happened to them, because you're always losing subs for different reasons. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, you have no idea if it's just people like me now and again trying to keep their sub list to a manageable number that I can get to and, support and watch their videos. Is it something that you've said or a topic that irked them? Which I was a little brat in my community post today, because I actually got a bunch of videos done, uploaded. So of course I'm in studio. And then just for giggles, because I've got my content up now to Monday, and then I just have to finish a bit on the other video and cover Tuesday. But so I was making sure that things were in order in that. And then and I don't usually pay attention, but then I happened to look over and I saw that people had been hitting the dislike on, shock and awe, my boycott video and, channel, and then my channel update. And so there were people apparently didn't like either of those videos. I don't care, but could you at least tell what was your issue? That I'm a Canadian talking about the boycott, that I'm saying I may be taking my,
Yeah.
did you just hit the wrong thing on the mouse? What's your deal? But on the other hand, I'm thinking, no, I'm grateful they probably didn't leave a comment, because I don't want trolls and stuff. So knock yourself out, slam the dislike button till the cows come home. I don't care. Mainly because the other part is I have connections with different people through different ways. I read the comment section, so I know who I can count on to support and be there. And for me, it's about the community, not the numbers of the community.
Yeah.
But, like you said too, sometimes, because we're all human, it's nice to get a pat on the back or have a clue if people are enjoying what they're watching, or, if they have suggestions, what have you. And yeah, I think in order to survive on YouTube, you got to have good self-esteem and stick with itness.
Yeah.
It's because there's so many different reasons that things happen. Laura, book hoarding, never heard of that. And Laura, I'm guessing you have more than 10 books. Drink your fancy ales, can drink them by the flag, but the only brew for the brave and true comes from the Green Dragon.
Yes. Cheers.
Not read any Anne Rice. Margaret cannot tell me people are mostly watching it for eye candy. Well, it could be. Now, and this is funny, and yep, I think, Ven, you still here? I see we're behind on the comments again. Ven and I, in April, are actually doing a live stream about the double standard of how men and women are portrayed, and how there are certain things that you need to be really mindful of now, but yet it's okay to do things differently when it comes to male characters or male advertising. So Yeah, and I know Kat and I are forever and Jenny joking about the eye candy and shows, and I mean, I fully admit it's why I watch Supernatural, all 15 seasons. But to be fair, I let my husband watch the eye candy too, so his is just different. Aren't I mean?
Yeah. It's all right. We got Ben in here
Right.
going crazy. So.
Do not like unreliable narrators. Remind me too much of the. Well,
goodness.
yeah. And wouldn't it be nice if they would stop putting up that face everywhere? And this is what gets me. And we're not going to get too much into any of this. I've already had 2 meltdowns this week. But what irks me is since, what was it, 2016, we keep hearing that egomaniac. Well, then get his damn face off the news. And why are all the late night hosts featuring him every night in their monologue? I mean, when the dude finally passes, and he will, because we all do, they're screwed for content.
That's okay. So his first go around, I did want to stay informed, but the American media cycle has always been talk about unreliable narrator. They love sowing dread, and so him and the media they go together.
Yeah.
Like
it's fear mongering.
Yeah, and so this time around, I'm just paying less attention, and that's to the detriment of knowing some knowledge, but I have to keep my mental health in check.
Yepper.
And I think everything you said is absolutely correct. If I know it's kind of like it is important to point out clearly the Lulu world that he lives in. But if my other issue is that there's a lot of being shocked, but no actual investigative journalism or pushback. And so that's why I'm like so done. Like I can't kind of wear someone else's shock and awe like a jacket.
Yep, exactly.
I just feel junk all the time about something that I can't change. Like I did my part, I voted, and dude unfortunately got in.
Yep.
What else am I gonna do?
And that's it.
Building community and going like this,
But I mean, you made some very important points there in terms of your own self-care, your own mental health. Yes, there's things you need to be mindful of and aware of, but if you're run down and you buy into all the fear mongering and all that other stuff they're throwing everywhere, you can't defend yourself because you're already running empty.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a video. I don't watch them often. It's Brian Tyler Cohen, and he was making exactly that point, that there's all this noise because, again, 51st state had to do with the hockey game, and just what's the new term now? Gaslighting. My day it just called pissing us off, but now they got a fancy term for it. So, of course, on his thing, he was going on about that, and Governor Trudeau welcome to come join them at the meeting because he couldn't watch the hockey game they were meeting. And again, it's pissing people off. And when they get all pissed off, then they see red, then they stop thinking. I don't mean red like Republican. And then they just do stupid things. Yeah. But in the meantime, all this other stuff is being decided and things are happening, but people aren't paying attention because they're all obsessed with this one issue. And that's I used to watch the news years and years ago, but exactly for what you said now. Sure, they'll shoot out, oh, this is today's big scare the pants off you story. Oh, tomorrow we're on to another one. We're on to another one. What did you do about the first thing that, who's taking care of that? It's just next. And it's fear mongering to keep people off balance. And I refuse to go there.
Yeah.
I just, nope.
Yeah. It's too stressful. There's only so much, there's so actually so little we have in control of. So it's just like, no, I can't.
Yeah, you do what you can and take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Orange Menace, think of the Tango drink adverts for the 90s. Oh, that reminds me, Van. I thought of you today while I was looking up, because I think the other thing I'm going to do with my Canadian humor series, almost said Canadian horror, but I'm still thinking 51st state. Canadian humor series. There are a lot of hilarious videos out there and different parodies and whatnot. I actually came across one about ads for Canada, and I thought of Ven because every once in a while he shoots off these links for his silly British ads. So I think I'm gonna, along with the reading, include like a silly video clip in the bottom if people still want to need a little extra chuckle because laughter is the best medicine. Also atrocious. Drink, no idea about the advert. Iconic, got banned because of kids reenacting them. Yeah, I could see that bad, especially if it was some of those beer commercials. Give skeptical look. Something tells me you've reenacted at least one. Where's one even right beside the like button? They just don't show the number anymore, but it shows up in your YouTube studio when you look on your videos. Absolutely not. Good child. Oh, so he keeps saying paragon of virtue. Yeah. Studio, all your analytics. Yep. See a percentage. Have to go back. 1124. Find a non 100. So I think people who bother only like meh. Can press whichever as long as they press one of them. It's true. At least you know you're getting views, or you hope they right, ignorably they'll go away. Well, engage, like Captain Picard says. Although hold a soft spot for Janeway and her hunt for coffee. Yeah, I like the Voyager series. I actually have I'm looking forward to Book Trek as well. I've got so much reading this year.
Yeah. And where I sleep, I look at, I can see my bookshelf where it's largely all the books I haven't read.
Oh.
And then in my mind at night, when I should be in stasis, I start coming up with all these ideas. And it's like years in the making. And I have to tell myself, Leslie, what the heck are you doing? This is I already have a project that's 2 years long, so it just doesn't make any sense.
I'll answer Ben's question and then when is Book Trek? Book Trek is by Vin at Revenant Reads, created by, and that runs June, July, and August. And you can read anything and any amount. There's like no set stuff to participate. You can read one book each month. It's like I say, it's for the 3 months, and it can be from any of the Star Treks, original, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. I always hate saying that because every once in a while it comes out Deep 6 9, and it's like, no, bad. That's not what I meant. Voyager or the movies. So yeah, that's a fun event. But yeah, like you were saying, Leslie, and my books aren't anywhere near my bedroom. I can't see them. I have them in this room, the living room, and downstairs. And downstairs is brutal because it took me 3 months to decide which books I could have downstairs. It's like,
so
what if
funny.
I want to read that today?
Yeah, that is hilarious. That's the whole other enchilada. I wouldn't even know how to deal with that. Oh my Lord.
Very different book. Yes, and the kind I don't read, Ven. May take part. It is a fun one. I really enjoy it because I love Star Trek. I grew up with the original. But yeah, speaking of, getting booked and your mind going everywhere, because, well, this year, well, we're doing the Wheel of Time, and then Kat and I are doing Vampire Chronicles starting next month. I already decided I was going to read the Bible, which is kind of hilarious because I was born and raised Roman Catholic. Then God and I had a parting of the ways based on, really, dude, this is what you're doing up there? Nah, nerds. Went traveling around, found another path, took the religious studies course in university, so then got interested in reading about pagan stuff. So this year I'm reading the Bible for the first time ever, going through all of my pagan books and then some, because I'm like, why not? Be good to get the two different views. And then I'm doing 3 or 4 different self-study programs, and they're like 10 weeks or 12 weeks. And I don't know. Oh, yes. And Dune, I may be starting in April for a buddy read. And then I've got, just and the Da Vinci Spiral that I need to get back to, that started 2 years ago because I had this stupid book on my shelf called Secrets of the Code. And I'm like, well, I got to read the Da Vinci Code again before I get to the secrets. So I reread that, read the secrets. If I read one more time in that book, the apostles lost their minds because he kissed her on the lips. I was going to fling the book out the window. It's like, seriously, we're about 200 pages in here. Could you not pick anything else in the Bible? Guess not. But then from there, I'm like, okay, how have I never clued in that ancient Egypt and the Bible are connected? This is going to have to do with Da Vinci. Now I'm up to about 80 books for that spiral. 50 of them I've read, all from my own shelves. And somewhere in there, I'm like, oh, yeah, and what am I going to put up on YouTube? Because I don't put all the books up that I read. Yeah. But I have started again doing a monthly summary, one, just because it's a handy way for me to remember what I've read that month. But yeah, I think part of me just knew this year was going to be a shit show. So the more I could keep busy and get done and just, yeah, let's hang out with Lestat and let's hang out and, way here and there.
That, and definitely, I'm not a big wine drinker, but I have some bottles now. 2025, the next 4 years is going to be some wine drinking. I might be on a budget, but I will make time for that wine. So it's wine and books.
There you go. See all my unread own books. Oh, as I sleep too. Is this a design flaw or a comfort view? See, good question. See, mine are nowhere near my room. But I do know and because I'm a mood reader, like I have, and let me know if you do this too. I have at least 10 books on the go right now.
I can't multitask books, but I think it's not necessarily a design flaw. I think it is a comfort view. Also, I do have like sometimes bouts of insomnia. So, or my daughter will say, like if she sleeps pretty hard and pretty much routine, but sometimes even though she's 18 now, but she'll still want me to read to her. And so I could literally just grab a book with my eyes closed and just pull it down and start reading and turn on my little lamp and read to her, which is hilarious. But
that's awesome.
Margaret, I'm reading Nala's World right now. I don't know if you've heard of the channel One Bike, One World. Have you heard of that, Elaine?
No.
It's a really cute YouTube channel I told Margaret about. And this gentleman, it has like basically his channel skyrocketed because he does like to bicycle or drive around in his van around the world. But the thing is, he came across a stray cat and that cat just went over his heart. And so it's not just him, it's him and the cat going around the world. And we're actually seeing, like, he has a camera on, so we don't necessarily always see him, but we just see the cat point of view as they bike around the world. And so let me tell you, Nala and Dean are living their best life. She's going to be in more, she has more passport stamps than I'll ever see in my lifetime. It's so cute.
Aww.
And so he wrote a book about the experience. And so I'm kind of very slowly reading that. In terms of like your question about like multitasking books.
Yeah.
I can't multitask too much. It's usually like mostly one at a time, but that's definitely like my leisurely book. If I'm gonna introduce like another book in terms of like multitask reading, it has to be something like a light read, like the opposite of everything else I usually read, because I do gravitate towards like some dark material.
Yeah. No, I'll pick up some and then I'll read it for a bit, and it's like, and it isn't that it's bad or anything. I'm just not feeling it. So then I go looking around and it's like, yeah, I want to read this instead. So I'll read that for a few days. Nah, I want to start something. The other, and I mean, normally I'm not this bad, but it was either this week or last week. It was one day I started 3 different books. I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. I've still got books to finish from 2024. I can't keep adding to my haven't finished pile. And it's just like, okay. It's like the one book, which I still need to read. I was going to read it in December, the Calm the Flock Down book. Because she's got a lot of good ideas and suggestions, and I've almost finished my positivity board, so I need to do that video. And I think sometimes it's the same as you were describing, Leslie, is I'll come up with all these ideas, and then it's like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, what about this series? Oh, what about this? Wait, I got to record. How am I going to get this all recorded? There's only 7 days in a week. I don't want to upload every day. And then it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know. What's the sequel to Dune according to David Tennant? I know I have the next 2 books because I actually bought that box set, and Dune will be a reread. And why am I trying to place who David Tennant is?
He's he played one of the Doctor Who's.
Oh, okay. Now, was he also in Good Omens?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Love him. Love him. July.
Nearly said June, trying to remember his non-doctor accent. Dean Nicholson is the author, YouTuber with the cat.
Yes. Yeah.
The book's wonderful. Nice.
Yeah. Really adorable.
Aiming for Chelsea's by Sunday stream. Climate book before next Wednesday's wrap up. Stella by Starlight before end of Fab for a Black History read. Reading 2 others slowly. Yep. So see, Margaret does the same. On that family history show revealed part of his family had the Keening treatment.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Very near identical. Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre, the different things that happened. I know I've read about the clearings before, and I have a series of videos about Scotland, and some of it was about that. Years ago, one of our family friends was he was either Glasgow or Edinburgh. And I know, he was saying, because we were talking about it, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to go over there. And he's like, oh, no, you wouldn't. It's, sure, it may sound glamorous and all, but it's very different living there than, different things you hear. But I mean, I can't I can't even begin to imagine, let alone everything else that was going on in that time period and how women were treated and just everybody, like reading about Gillian and the cotton mill, and of course, the air quality and the hours that they had to work for the pay. And then it just gets me when I hear some of the people, and I'll just refer to Ontario, complaining and whining about how they need their checks to increase. And I'm like, really? Just be grateful we don't have workhouses anymore and you have a check to get. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's can't even imagine. Mom's been on me ever since she saw that for me to send him a copy. You should.
Yeah, do it, Margaret.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
You don't know until you try.
Yeah.
And I mean, you did such an amazing job with that description and the experiences of what it would have been like for that family and the reality of the times is, yeah. And see, this is the thing that gets me too. And I'm almost finished the review. I finished the book ages ago. It's been sitting there with everything else going, you promised to do me next. It's like, I know. And you can't see it, but even if my chair wasn't in the way, you'd still wouldn't see my table back there because it's got mounds of books at the moment. Partly because I just did my Celtophile video and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to figure this out and put them back in place. But, now I just lost the train.
What were you saying? Your Mountaineer books. The meeting. Oh, you're going to do the review for
the 5.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I did it a few days ago as all this boycotting stuff was heating up.
Yeah.
So I was already agitated.
Yeah.
And then I was doing this and I'd picked a few quotes. And then I was really agitated thinking of, Jack's still around. People dress up like him. He's on business signs. And yet these 5 women, you couldn't remember their names. And same with the other serial killers. I look at some of these movies that are coming out now, and it's like, there's one, and I actually had commented on it, and I'm like, nope, I'm taking that out of there. And the people because it's a murder, and I remember watching the interview for the actress who decided to do the movie, made millions, but the people from that town asked her not to release it. Like, this was based on a fairly recent, true event. The murderer is still alive. This woman's children are still alive. It's a small community. And she went ahead and made it anyhow. What I find truly appalling is that this particular actress has her own story she could tell, but don't be sticking your nose in my business.
Right.
We won't be making a movie about my family, but I will traumatize everybody else. So that was going through my head. It was this bugaboo with yet another group of people were out yammering about an author based on allegations. Ooh, shock and awe. This time slapped him in the nads. The author was innocent, and he's now taking the person to court.
Yeah.
And they're lucky they're not naming all the other people who hopped on social media. It's like, I'm like,
yeah, that's a whole other like self-righteous component to it. Yeah. Again, that speaks to like wearing someone's trauma, wearing fear and anxiety like a jacket. And it's just like, I'm taking this off. I can't engage because it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to take day by day and worry about my own business. I can't, there's only so much I have control over again.
Yep.
It's stressful. It's so stressful.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't watch those videos. And like I say, when I was doing my commentary on the 5, which I'm so glad I found your channel and found that book.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Well, it was amazing. And I'm like, yeah. And see, for me, because I used to work with correctional clients.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's that double-sided part of I know people can change. Well, some are always going to be douches, but some sincerely want to change. And there are a lot of factors that go into what generated them to do what some of them have done. And to me, it's a very complex issue of it isn't just the offense. And I've read some pretty disgusting predisposition reports and how these women could have done this to their children and they didn't turn out worse than they did is mind-boggling. But of course, see, in the accusations and everything else, that never comes up.
Yeah.
It's just the offense that they talk about. So, yeah, this past week, I've been agitated about a lot. But like you say, you can't wear all of that. And I was like, okay, nope, author stuff, not going down that road. Sending love and hugs to my American friends, keep putting it out there. But there's only so much I can do with that as well, right? I mean, I keep hoping everyone's safe, taking care of themselves, that I don't know, a miracle, a cosmic intervention or something like, you know, before this goes too far out of hand. And we just got to keep focusing on, you know, our community and people who stay connected and checking in with each other. And that's all stuff we can do. But yeah, I'm really not into that fear mongering stuff. Oh, look at Margaret. No power to summon Mr. Tennant's address. Feel free to send along if you have it, UK friends.
Well, maybe you can find out who his agent is and send it that route.
If you go IMDb, you could find it.
Come on, Margaret.
Which reminds me, I still have to track down, see, something else I meant to do. Track down, because I spoke to my librarian here and I have to put in a request because they don't have any of Margaret's books up here. And I'm going to guess they don't have Nicole or Charles either. So I'm just going to start hounding them and put in requests to, hey, how come we don't have these authors?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, and speaking of the comment you said about basically like restorative justice, there's a book, it's not out yet, but it's by this by Gregory Boyle. I only know about him because he's in my area. He's responsible for a program out over here that it's called Homeboy Industries.
Oh yeah.
And so it's to help people get out of gangs and stuff like that. And to or you know, if you come out of prison and you can't get a job, so they're trying to just create jobs for people.
Nice.
And so he just wrote a book called Cherished Belongings. And it's I'm basically waiting on it on Libby, but I really want to read that because he definitely is someone that like leads with love. There's a bookstore near me and it's done really well. And they have a podcast and they had him on, and the owner of that bookstore said that their whole I guess initiative behind their bookstore is because of him. So they also hire people through his program. And they're just more community based. So it's and speaking of everything you just said right now.
Well, and it's important. And another great book, and it was actually one of the teachers in grade 10. Margaret wants to know, what's the bookstore in the podcast?
Oh, we talked about Village Well Books and Coffee in Culver City, and the podcast is Shelf Talkers. So it's really good, Margaret. But the author has been on there, and it's I really enjoyed their conversation and talking about their origins, and like it really had to do with people making donations to his cause that even got it off the ground in the first place. And
Wow.
it's done well since then. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on our list. And before we get back to that, William had just watched his own video of the series. I think that 8 to 18. Very proud of it. Covered so much.
I'm gonna have to see it.
It was nice. But yeah, with that, so it was one of the grade 10 English teachers. I think it was grade 10 English. And I need to look it up again. The title is The First Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, amazing read. Wish I could think of the author's name. I know he's Canadian, but the character in there, it's so funny. His name is Reef, and people assume it's because of a certain habit. And yet it isn't. It has nothing to do with that. And it talks about his mother and different things that happened, and he's raised by his grandparents, and a lot of other bad things happen. It's a phenomenal story. And then years later, the author wrote a part 2, which I wish I could remember the name of it right now. I read it once and then I gifted it to someone else because I knew I could never read it a second time, because it just sounded too much like one of the places where I worked. And my one supervisor, who had since passed away, and a lot of the residents he talked about were like residents I've worked with. And it was just like, no, this is way too accurate and too much of a trip down. Now, I might be able to read it now. It's been a few years, but yeah, I mean, it was an amazing read to give you insight into the misconceptions by people, because as soon as they hear juvenile delinquent or offender, their mind's already made up.
Yeah.
And yet
it's by Don Acker or Don Aker.
Yep.
And the next one is The Fifth Rule, but I don't know if that's the sequel or not. It's just another book that he wrote.
The Fifth Rule?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the second one.
Okay.
That's the second one. Yeah, they're both amazing reads. And so in The First Stone, we start with Reef and what happened with his family and where he ends up and all of that. And then in The Fifth Rule, things obviously change. He's in an open custody young offender facility, and the guy that runs it, and yeah, just it is. They're both amazing reads. And having worked in a system similar to that, it's like, yeah, I could put different names to the residents that he talked about and circumstances. So yeah, when things like that come up, and that's why I'm really selective too in terms of some of the videos and things I'll watch. And I really had to edit down my book review, and it's like, nope, just stay on the book, get off your soapbox, just talk about the book. And don't talk about what you don't want to talk about. That's why I'm always impressed with people who don't have to edit videos, but I have I have kind of a filter sometimes. So I need to edit videos. Like, they're usually half the length that go up from what I started with, because it's like, nope, don't go there. Nope. Or else, my mind will just twirl off. And if it's something that's really it's funny, I don't have to take out swearing. I don't actually get agitated enough to swear. Now, off camera, and if I'm agitated, there's an F-bomb here or there, but it's because I'm mad, not everyday language. And that makes me mad because it takes the oomph out of the F. It's like everybody's saying this now. There's no shock value. But yeah, I have to edit them because I'm just like, no, you veered off too far on that. You don't want to go there.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, you gotta. Usually I do try to just. Ever since I figured out about StreamYard, I'm loving it because I spent a lot of time editing before. I do try to just go in one go and just let it go, release it. But I outline on I have OneNotes. I have like Windows basically. So I use OneNotes to kind of like bulletin whatever my points are.
Yep.
And kind of stick to that for the most part. And that's basically how I do that. How I do my reviews now, or else I'll just be all over the way. Sometimes I'll forget something that I really wanted to say, but I just have to let it go.
See, and I have my bullet points too,
but
it doesn't stop my mouth when I'm recording. It's like,
yeah.
How did I get there? So yeah, and then stop. Oops. Well, oh no, right here. Ven's being a rat. Language is more salty than mine when we talk off here. Shush. See, you've officially now been shushed on one of my streams, and it's taken almost 3 hours. Margaret, I outline sometimes just on the desktop notepad. So,
Samesies.
There we go. See, yeah, and I've got my notes, and that's why, and I'll even say sometimes in a video I'm looking down at my notes or whatever, but when I'm recording, and if it's something like, Jack being remembered more than the ladies, and then everything else that week, it's like, I think I could talk about that. No, take that out of the video. It's not about the book. It's not even the same topic. It's like, yikers. In my planner, if I prepped on location, I've got notes all over the place. One day I'll make notes. Yeah, Ven doesn't. He just off the top of his head.
I think that's a skill. I can't do anything, but also I'm an introvert, so I really have to think about what I'm saying. I wish I had the gift of gab. It's just not me, and I'm kind of like an anxious person, anyways. So I really just have to outline it, or it's just like this brain just flat lines, and I miss all the points I want to make, But that really is a skill. Then I wouldn't know how to do that.
Yeah, see, I need to do my notes as well, because there are certain things that I want to be sure I've covered in it. And I know if I don't have them in front of me to visually look down, I mean, I can talk, I can babble, well, we're almost, 3 hours, I can babble for hours. But babble is different than having a set, these are the points that I want to cover, and be able to come back to cover that. Because like I say, if I go off on a tangent, then that's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can remember when to come back, but like we just did here, if not for you reminding me, it would have been, what was I talking about? And then I was off. My husband describes a conversation with me like talking to a train with the cars missing, because it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go nice car to car to car. It's like here, there. Then we come back to that other car, and there was something at the. And sadly, that's how I organize and do things in my house too. It's like, I'm not going to finish this, but I'll go do this right now, and I'll come back to that.
That's my sister. I tell her she has like the gift of gab. She could talk to anyone. Like I watch her, and I don't think it's a skill that I could learn. Like, I just watch her and all. Like, she used to live out of state, and I just have I'm just not good at like small talk, or I don't really know how to engage, or So I would just watch her talk to people, and I swear to you, we were in a parking lot after buying groceries, and someone struck up a conversation with her, and they were just talking. We were in the parking lot, we had to go, and I was just like, but she made a new buddy, and it turns out they used to live in the same state together, all this stuff, and I'm just watching her like, I don't even understand the construction of this conversation, and I'm just like, I'm telling you, it's a gift. I'm just like, what?
See, and I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, and I may have been talking to Ven about this, because I'm basically very quiet, very shy, which is shocking. Hilarious. What's that?
Shocking.
Right? And so it was hilarious having to working in schools, and I worked in a resource room. So I always had kids coming in. I didn't always know them, but in order to support them and, make sure they had the tech or whatever they needed, I had to get to know them, because to me, rapport was everything, working with students. But if you put me in a social situation with people I don't know, I won't say anything. I'll just sit there. And the fact that I'm now doing live streams and meeting people for the first time and chit-chatting, there's people who know me who will go like, how are you even doing that? Because so I would be like you in that parking lot. I wouldn't be the one talking to somebody, or, hey, Kat's here. I wouldn't be the one talking to somebody. I'd be standing there. My father used to be like your sister. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I would just look at him like, how do you do that?
Yeah. It's magic.
And he's like, you just ask, and I'm like, no.
I try and I fumble hard. Like, like you hear a pin drop. So I'm like, all right, this is not my gift. I got to let it go.
And so that's why, like, I'm loving being able to do this, and I haven't sounded like a total yutz with anybody yet. But yeah, the fact I can do it, I don't know if it's just because we're not face to face. And so, I feel okay. But I'm always
also, there's like a mutual interest that we both have.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the same issue. As long as I'm talking about books, I'm good. So it makes it easier. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, that makes sense too, because I know when I've invited someone on, we've got a good idea what the topic's going to be, whether it's books about or writing about books. I felt so bad for days after I had Gareth on, because I'm like, talking about everybody else's books, and I'm like, Lord Lou, I got an author and I didn't even mention it. Like, and see, I'm that person who, if there's anything stupid to say or do, I'm the one who'll do that in a crowd. So I just figure if I say nothing, then I just end up bumping into something or whatever, It's just, I'm so awkward but yet I could rock it in a classroom. And that, to me, that's what didn't make sense. I was fine with clients when I worked in group homes and halfway houses. I was fine in schools with the students. But you put me in a social situation, I'm a mess.
That's so funny. No, I'm right there with you. Same.
Margaret's laughing. A train with no cars. As a kid, I said my thought went off its tracks. See? I go here, I go there, but I always eventually get back. If I don't have a choice, I tend to be fine. It's when I have time to think, I start having issues.
Yeah.
Working retail 25 years. Wow. Yeah, you got to be quick on your feet, and helps.
We got you, Ben.
Yay, Kat made it. Saying, hey, hey, all been there. Just means you're authentic.
Yeah.
Great one-to-one or in a place I'm used to. Yep. Otherwise, I hide. Yeah. And that's the same. I mean, if it's people I know, I'm good. And this is one thing that I hated when I would be surplused at schools, and it happened a lot. So the next September, you're starting with new people. And so you'd have to go to the staff meeting. You didn't know anybody. And I'm like, oh, no, this is just so not good. It was fine, introduced me to the students, but I think if I sat in a room with strangers, the pressure to ease my tension would kick in, and I'd try. That's all I promise is try. Yeah, I say dumb stuff all the time. Just laugh at myself. Figure either you matter enough to be chill, such and who cares what you think anyway.
So funny.
Rebuffed, I'd sit and stew.
Oh, the stew. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is it'll bother me for days. It didn't bother Gareth, but it bothered me for days. It's like, oy vey. And I mean that's the other thing I'd found over the years too is a lot of that stuff tends to bother me more than other people. And then I'm like, so why do I keep doing this? And it's like, because that's just how I'm built.
Good old intrusive thoughts. Get in there. It's 2
Well,
a.m. and what are you going to think about?
yeah. Well, and that's why I found the one thing, because I'd had insomnia as a kid. It's always been bad. One thing I found helped, and I think it might have been when I did the Artist's Way last time. It was one of the self-help programs I have. And of course, it's about focusing on gratitude and things.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I started doing, and it's the last thing I still do every night, I go through, because I've always gone through the day, like, did I forget something? Da-da-da, is everything done? And so it would whirl and whirl and whirl. So now what I do is go through and look for all the gratitude and blessings from the day. So right from the time I got up, and it doesn't matter, was the sun shining? Did something go right? Did I see a bunny? Did I see a squirrel? I go through the entire, well, I see squirrels a lot. Squirrel, squirrel. But that's the ADD thing.
Yeah.
But so I go through everything that went right and was good and was positive, no matter how big, how small, do my thank you, and then ask for, help and guidance the next day and think through what I need to do. And then I actually managed to fall asleep.
Mm.
And I'd done that for months and months, so I rarely have insomnia now. And then I thought, well, that was good, and I'm always through the day as well trying to be mindful of blessings and gratitude, and I say my thank you as soon as something happens to not take things for granted. So I thought, well, I do this all day, so I don't need to do this at night. Nope, now it's a habit, and I can't go to sleep unless I do it.
That's so funny. But that's good because it's actually, you basically already had the problem in the first place. So it's really just the solution's there and your body now expects it,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's so funny. That is so wild.
And it's nice because I mean it's easy to do, so that was good.
Yeah.
What about a novel making a joke of Atlas Shrugged called Introvert Rebuffed? Ooh, the
tragedy.
Bunny, squirrel, who can I pet? Yeah, a cat and always wanted to pet the wildlife. And yeah, cat, I don't know if you saw the comment. I actually saw a skunk for the first time today in several months. I'd been wondering, because usually they're around more, but it's been an insane winter. And I saw the skunk this morning. Now, my first thought was, oh, good, they're still around, and that one looks okay. My second thought was, I can see Cat out there trying to chase that skunk, going, let me pet you. going, no, do not pet the skunk, honey. You stink for weeks. The tomato juice. My brain likes to go, remember that dumb thing you did when you were 10?
Yeah.
Yep. Hated that scene. I wouldn't have written it this way. Fantasy, amazing life. It would totally go this way. See, you have to rewrite the scripts because, yeah, I'm the same. There's days I'm like, oh, why did I do that when I was 18? It's like, seriously, that was like 40 plus years ago. Why am I thinking the person is long forgotten?
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I'm so glad I'm not the only one that has these
No.
scenarios happening. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not the only one.
See, and this is the lovely thing about having community and unity and being able to share and chat and connect. Because I think sometimes we do feel like we're the weird one because nobody else would do that or think that or stress about that. And then the more that we chat and connect, it's like, there's a whole group of us who do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Well, my dear, I have to pick up my daughter from school.
Okay. Well, it has been lovely chatting. We're just gonna yes, totally pet a skunk, rarely spray. My dogs, when they were alive, could tell you different. Don't want belly rubs, but they're so fluffy and cute. Well, thank you everyone for joining and interacting. Leslie, thank you so much. I can't believe it's been 3 hours. Like this flew by.
I had so much fun with you. You are a joy to spend time with.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully we could do this again. I just, love connecting, especially with a fellow, not fellow, but someone across the border in case I need to be in the floorboards at some point.
My husband's going to win lotto. We got a bunch of you covered. We'll have to get you a separate house, but we got you covered.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really got to skedaddle and pick up my kid from school, but thank you. This is so lovely. We'll talk some more about interview.
We will have to do this again for sure. Safe journeys picking up your daughter. Thanks so much. Thanks so much to everyone who could join in. Bye-bye.